Oh my goodness. Here we are. Hey, Sharky. All right. I'll try and clean at least one area of this, and then I might do some Zelda stuff. I'm tired, but I'm here. How are you doing, my good friend? My Sharkey. Yeah, I know what you mean, Sharky. I've been feeling it kinda too lately. Like I'm outside myself. It's like a weird, quiet anxiety thing where you don't feel like super separate. Yeah, anxiety can decenter you like that. If you're not feeling a sense of progress with your work, I mean, I'm sympathetic to that. I feel the same way with mine. I think, I don't know, maybe give yourself a project and have the project have some goals. Like, choose a thing you'd like to do that you can kind of aim your work at, like, give it a direction, and then have a list of goals you'd like to tackle. Sorry, chat. Responding to something. I'll be right back. PC RPG ripoffs is a very good idea. That's very good. Oh, hitting a vape. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. See, this is what I mean when I'm talking about the slow start for Twilight Princess. It's like, okay. Mandatorily collect a bunch of Tears of Light. Mandatorily follow a monkey. Mandatorily wrangle a bunch of cows. It's just a lot of I don't know. It's a lot of not Zelda before you get started playing your Zelda game. It's a lot of very video gamey padding. It's a lot of like fetch quests and checklists and collectathons before you get to play your Zelda game. You know, we're what? We're an hour and 34 minutes into Twilight Princess, and we haven't really done like a dungeon yet. Skyward Sword was almost unplayable for me. I never beat it. It's the only Zelda game I never beat. I got all the way to the end and I just didn't care. I just didn't care enough to finish it. It was so repetitive and tutorial heavy. Every single time you did something, they had to re-explain how to do it over and over and over again. And there was just, I don't know, like 3 zones in the whole game, and you just kept going back to those zones. Yeah. Skyward Sword was very padded. Do I have a Patreon? No. The reason I don't have a Patreon is because I'm a very slow painter, and I don't get a lot. I work a lot, but I don't get a lot done. And I feel like if I had a Patreon, I would feel like I wasn't giving people enough value for their money. Thank you, Sharky. Best in the biz. Writing poetry, yes, that's me. All right. Thoughts on the Ross drama? I don't know what that is. Sharky, what's the Ross drama? Is that the AI thing you posted on Twitter, or is that a different guy? Ross Tran? I don't know what happened. What's the drama? Is that the AI thing? Oh. I feel like I know Ross Tran from way back. Do I? Or am I confusing him with somebody else? Was Ross Tran in the old group? I can't remember. I mean, if he used AI in his book, well, okay, it's a three-pronged thing, my take on it. If he's an artist who's been against AI and he's been talking about it, saying it's a bad thing, and then he used AI, clearly that's hypocritical and a bad thing, and he should refund people. And yeah, that's not good. If he's an artist who's pro AI and he's been defending AI the whole time, that's less problematic from a hypocrisy standpoint, and it's more problematic from just a they have a wrong opinion standpoint. In which case, the audience probably isn't, you know, they probably don't deserve any kind of refund because he's been open about it from the start, but still, if he's not paying people, that's shitty on its face, no matter what his position is on AI. Yeah, you should gotta treat people well, pay people right. Yeah. That's indefensible regardless of his stance on anything. Hmm. Jeez. That's pretty shitty behavior. I don't have a well-formed opinion on it because I haven't followed the drama. I think I'm thinking, no, I don't think Ross Tran is from the old group. I think I'm thinking of Ravina Tran, who's the female film person now, right? Former artist, or maybe she still does art, but now she's a filmmaker. I'm trying to think if I know Ross. I don't think I do though. But yeah, I don't have a big opinion on it because I haven't been following it. But those are my stances. Treat people well, pay people. AI bad. Don't be a hypocrite. I got a pimple right under my nose, and it's driving me fucking crazy. So if you see me doing that, I'm not picking it. It's just a painful bump under my nose that's driving me nuts. Likely story to cover my nose picking. You should come on live and just explain the drama to me, Sharky. I'll just give my blind review for all to hear. I'm very excited to listen to the rest of this Zelda game. mean, Sharky, if you want to call in and talk to me about drama, I mean, you can do that. We're going to do a new segment called Shark Attack. It's where Sharky calls in and goes off on something in the art community that he currently hates. Please hold chat. Oh my goodness. Hello? Oh my god. Hold on, let me make sure you're loud enough over here. Alright, keep talking.
I don't know, 1, 2, 3 test.
It's pretty good. Keep going. Alright.
Yeah, I don't know. Put on the spot. It's very odd.
You have a extremely subtle accent, my friend. How is this the first time we've ever talked?
I'm not too certain. I'm a shy person by nature, and also what I have is called a mid-Atlantic accent.
Okay. Alright.
Yeah.
It's charming.
Why, thank you.
How are you? First off, what time is it over there?
It is 3:33 in the afternoon.
Oh, okay. It's not too bad. It's 11:30 here. You're only 4 hours ahead. That's not okay. That's not too drastic.
No, it's not too bad at all.
How's your day going?
It's going all right. I have got Photoshop set up, and I am just staring at it.
So, when you said you compiled a bunch of sketches and you were feeling kind of, I don't know, is directionless the word? How would you describe it?
The way I describe it was, yeah, that directionless would be a good way of doing it. I think I've just been drawing to keep myself busy and not to feel guilty about not drawing, you know?
Sure. Yeah, I get that.
So I was just looking at it last night. It's like, oh yeah, let's put all my sketches together, and then like one massive, like eye destroying photograph,
Mm,
and it's kind of like it's just been going nowhere, you know.
I
So I was
get
thinking it's
that.
like maybe I should sit down and actually do something, you know.
Yeah, it's like having a purpose to it. The PC game thing you talked about. Give me more of an insight on what you would do for that because that sounded like a fun idea.
So yeah, it's just something I do every so often. So like I just have like random ideas and yeah, random ideas, and I'll draw like something that looked like it could be like a cover of an RPG from like the 80s or 90s.
Hmm.
So I'll give it like a cheesy name or something like that. I'd be like, oh yeah, hey, here's like what an RPG cover would look like.
Oh, okay.
So I was fucking around last night, pardon my French.
No, you're good.
um yeah, I was yeah, with something last night, just an old sketch, and I was thinking it's like, oh, I can make this into like a Fallout kind of shoot off. And I was like, why don't I just do my own thing? And I've been thinking about doing it for an age. It's just kind of like make it like a little collection of like fake RPGs or knockoffs, you know?
You know what's funny is I found out recently there's like a cottage industry on like Amazon of just people that have made their own RPG rule books that are kind of like the original D&D white box, and they just do their own like pen and ink hand drawn artwork for like the stuff, and they just sell little soft covers. There's a bunch, there's a ton, and I think they make pretty good money from that niche audience. And like,
Mm.
I feel like even if you just did bare mechanics, like if you just had someone, or if you do, I don't know if you're into that kind of stuff, just make a table of stuff you could do just to run numbers for a game. You could just do all the artwork and probably sell a product pretty easily.
Like, yeah, definitely. I had a problem for a while where I was just like, oh, hey, someone made their own cute little niche, like tabletop. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to buy that. I'll buy that PDF. I'll buy this. And
Yeah,
then I had a huge collection of them. It's like, cool. I'll probably never play these, you know?
I'm thinking like
Uh,
I bought one for a friend's birthday not too long ago. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, Cairn. Are you familiar with Cairn?
No, it sounds familiar though. Is that Kai or N?
Yeah, I'll send it to you on Discord right now. But like, I think these do pretty good, and it's just
Mm.
like some very basic rules with a lot of just like artwork, and they do really well.
Oh yeah, that looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like there's another artist I follow. What's their name again? I have to find them now. But they do something similar. Plastaboo, I think their name
Oh
is.
yeah, yeah, Plastaboo. Yeah, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
familiar.
yeah, yeah. I've seen their stuff, and it's like this is just some of the most gorgeous kind of like I'm really into that kind of like 80s, 90s kind of like
Hmm.
I don't know what kind of art you'd call it. Kind of like maybe 90s pulp, like 80s and 90s kind of like fantasy pulp. I absolutely like adore. So like that stuff really kind of it kicked with me and stuff like that. And I think it was about 2 years ago. Me and my former DM were kind of like, like, hey, let's do our own little kind of like pamphlet dungeon. And I was like, oh, cool. Look, here's a bunch of stuff I've kind of drawn up of ideas, what we're talking about. And it was a case like, oh, yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. And then, like, a year later, it's like, okay, that's dead.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I like world building. I like creating a little world. So I was thinking, it's like, cool, like, do a few little sketches, maybe 3 or 4 kind of things, and then maybe compile them into a big old book and just put it online somewhere and say like, hey, here you go nuts with it.
Right. I think that's yeah. I mean, you should. I don't know. Maybe lean in that direction with your stuff if you're looking
Mm.
for a bigger like purpose behind it.
Yeah, because like for a while I was kind of struggling with like what my art should look like, and lately I've kind of been getting more into a gel of like, hey, I like the way I'm doing it now.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like a 2000 AD kind of inspired 90s stuff, like guys like Simon Bisley and stuff like that. So that's where I'm kind of like leaning my head towards like the original Fallout posters.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome. That's such a underappreciated style that was so formative for so many people. It's weird that like so much of that stuff you'd see in like magazines and around games back then is
Mm.
like it made so many people want to get into doing art and made doing games and stuff, and then like I don't know, there's this weird, it's almost like the AAA mentality that I talk about with like something like Square Enix with their recent games, especially Rebirth, which we can talk about, but it's almost like
Mm.
the fidelity or like the ceiling for quality of art has gotten, the standards have gotten high enough that people are kind of prioritizing like the fidelity of it over the idea of it, and I feel like a lot of the old pulp stuff really had way more going on creatively, even if it didn't look as technically flawlessly perfect all the time.
Oh no.
But
Oh, I always forget what it's called. Like the point of no return.
yeah, it's like diminishing returns. We fit like a soft
Diminishing
ceiling.
returns.
Yeah,
That's it.
it's
Yeah.
like what is it, like the soft cap in a Dark Souls game where like you hit 60 strength and after that the number will go up, but you're not really getting any returns out of it.
Yeah, I 100% believe we've hit that with video games lately.
Yeah.
And people have become so obsessed with like yeah, for like FMVs, like the in-game movies, it's kind of like yeah, if you want to go real fancy and all that stuff, but I don't really feel like a character I'm going to be spending 90% looking at the back of their head. I need to see that they have hairs on their face,
Mm-hmm.
or you can see they have individual eyelashes, and it's like it really feels, like not the Troy on the bus, like an artist who's gone way too far into rendering a piece,
Right.
where they're kind of like,
I'm very
I want
guilty.
to add every little single detail I can to it, and I think it's kind of a thing like that. But I think it's also like the modern media pushing it towards like we have to have the most realistic thing ever. So
Mm-hmm.
here you go. And I feel like because of that, we've kind of ended up with really kind of boring games. I guess you could say.
I think the most, I think one of the funniest things, I'm not going to say who told me this. I'll tell you later if you want to know.
Hmm.
Someone who works on like a lot of movies told me that the concept art they do for the movies is different than the concept art that gets put in the art books that are like the concept art of this movie. Like, they told me that most of the time, they'll do art that's very sloppy and it's very like it's good enough to get the idea across, and they'll work with that. And then when the movie's done and it comes time to make the art book, the team will go back and clean up some of the stuff they did after the fact to make it look more presentable for the art book, which I find hilarious and misleading and probably not good for people that want to get into that industry buying the art books and thinking that that's the actual working standard. But
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
yeah.
Like I think, like what's the last, like, because I don't really buy a lot of modern art books because I kind of find them very lackluster,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's the situation where it's like, hey, here's like 20 highly rendered pieces of this character,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes you feel like, as you said, misleading, where it's kind of like, oh hey, we got this character off the bat, and here you go.
Yep.
Um, but I'm trying to just looking at my shelf, and I can't remember.
That's why I love the From Software art books, is because their concept art is like the perfect amount of messy but detailed. Like they'll
Yeah.
detail certain things, but like the character art is so loose, and sometimes it's just impressionistic and unfinished, and it's great.
Mm. Yeah, just looking there. I don't think I have any modern stuff, especially for movies. I think the only movie one I ever bought was like the Guardians of the Galaxy one,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a really good book. Like it's got like
Good
loads
book.
and loads of stuff, but once again, it's got some like really high detail stuff. And you're kind of like, oh, all right then.
Yep.
But like I've been buying more lately, like books for like artists. Like the last one I think I got was The Art of Brahm.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I just feel like that is so disingenuous, and also those art books are kind of like incredibly thin as well. Like you're
Yeah.
spending maybe like 40-50 bucks on those books, and then you're like, cool, there's like maybe 60 pages, and
Yeah.
it's like one drawing and a wall of text.
Yeah. It's unfortunate the return on investment you get in a lot of those.
Yeah.
In general, the Marvel books are pretty good. The problem I have with those, this is just a bias thing, because for other people
Mm.
listening, this will be a good thing. I just want to see the character art, sometimes the environment art, and sometimes the costume stuff, weapons and things. I don't need to see how you designed all the trucks in Captain America the Winter Soldier. I don't need to see all the vehicles. I don't need to see all the gloves. I don't need to see 60 renditions of the metal arm. It's like, but yeah, they put a lot of stuff in there for all people, not just character people. But I'm always
Yeah.
bummed because the character section ends too quick for me.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Like those kind of books, it's just like I don't know. I think it's just me. I'm kind of like, I guess, sick of like just everything being super realistic,
You know
where
what's
there's like
good?
no
The
more.
do you have any of the Ghibli books? Do you have any like the Art of Howl's Moving Castle or anything where it like shows all the detailed drawings of like the planes from the armies and all the different versions of like what the castle was going to be? Like those are pretty cool books. Those
Yeah,
go pretty hard.
yeah, I was gonna pick up one. When I was in Japan there about 2 years ago. We went to Studio Ghibli Park. Uh,
Mm.
they had like a giant book. Like this book was like a tome, and it was just Miyazaki's like just doodles,
Oh man.
and pieces like that. And I wanted to pick it up, but like I literally knew, it's like there's no way I could fit this thing coming home in my suitcase. Like this thing was literally just a tome, and I was also looking for like an English version because like it had loads of handwritten notes by him and loads of just notes. Like it was basically, it's like, hey, here's my sketchbooks over the last 30 years. And it wasn't just like, oh hey, here's how I drew Hal or this or that. It's like, oh, here's a bunch of pigs in a tank, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was also like a really really gorgeous mechanical illustrator like Toriyama.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, no, definitely I'm gonna keep an eye on those because I do like that kind of like just sense of freedom of like I like artist books where it's just like, hey, this is just us doing me. Like this is just my ideas.
Right. Yeah, I like that
Uh,
too. Sadly,
but
very
like,
few of them.
yeah, there's not many. Like, look, I think they're coming out more and more because like, um, I'm trying to think there now because like I've picked up a few, but they're mostly kind of Japanese, like The Idol.
I really
Uh,
enjoyed. Shout out to my good friend Sean Andrew Murray in his Gateway Book of Wizards book. It's one of the most unique world building books I've seen anyone put out.
yeah, his art is absolutely
It's
gorgeous.
so
Uh,
nuts. So many awesome ideas that are just you're only gonna find them there. It's like it's so not concerned in such a refreshing way of like how would we put this on film? It's like it doesn't care at all. It's just like here's an idea and I'm gonna draw it and here
mm.
maybe it's a giant lobster on top of a cathedral. Maybe it's a machine made out of robot fish people. It's like this is great.
Yeah. You had him on back in the day in the Steve Lichman, didn't you? Or is that one oh, what was the other one? One Fine Week or something?
Oh, I've, I've been friends with Sean for a long time. We haven't talked as much since he moved to Florida to teach at Ringling, but
Hmm.
I used to drive out to upstate New York and visit him at his place, and we'd meet up in Boston sometimes with other people back when Boston had more of an art scene. But I should reach out to him and reconnect. I haven't talked to him in a while, but yeah, we were good friends for many years.
Yeah, because I can't remember if it was you or another artist that put me onto him, but ever since I saw his art, it's just so gorgeous and so detailed, and
Yeah, I
his
know
his penmanship is
me,
gorgeous.
me and Pete did a lot of talks with him back in the day. It might have been Pete, but
Mm.
yeah, we had him on to judge contests and things. We had him on to talk numerous times. But yeah, Sean's stuff is great. Wonderful man, great teacher, really great idea person. He's part of Guillermo del Toro's little clique of like go-to people. He's like one of the artists that he looks out for, and like as far as I'm concerned, pound for pound, Guillermo del Toro is probably one of the best art directors or cultivators or curators out there in the world. But yeah,
Oh yeah, no, 100%. It's because like he comes from a place of art himself,
yep,
so he's 100% like I want to make sure these guys who do these just extraordinary things have a paycheck and can go out and do this kind of stuff so that he can keep doing it, you know?
mm-hmm,
Because like it's amazing like some of Guillermo stuff gets made like fish out of like not fish out of water, Shape of Water.
hmm.
Like imagine like pitching like that must have been a nightmare to pitch,
I
you know?
know, and he
People were
still,
like,
yeah, it did very well. One of the only ones he's done. I feel like he puts so much love and attention into his films, and they don't usually do very well. I feel like that
hmm,
first Hellboy movie and Shape of Water and Pinocchio are probably, I guess Pan's Labyrinth was pretty critically acclaimed, but those are
yeah.
like all the other ones he kind of gets shafted on.
Yeah, like I definitely feel like Crimson Peaks. Was it Crimson Peak?
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, like that is for like landscape and like set design is one of the most aesthetically beautiful films I've ever seen
yeah,
doing that. You know,
stunning.
and just everything, the costume design, the monster design, everything just fits so much into person. But like that came out, no one saw it, even though
Hmm.
it had Tom Hiddleston, wasn't it? Loki
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
had him in it, and he was huge at the time.
Hmm.
You know, and unfortunately, just that film came out, a few people saw it, and then went away because like once again like it was that, and then I think right afterwards he did that Carnival film with Bradley Cooper,
Yes.
and that was also I think like a gigantic flop, and I think that was a Disney production as well.
And he was
But
making that show Carnival Row, which he then stepped away from
yeah,
because it got bloated and crazy. Sean Murray also did a ton of art for what that was originally supposed to be, but then they had to pare it down and make it something a very compromised version of it, which I think the first season worked fine for what it was, and then they had to wrap it up in a second season. The idea of like 1800s British Empire, things are not great, but also all the fairy tale creatures were real the whole time, and now they're part of colonialism.
yeah,
It's an
like
original idea, but I don't think anyone had the budget to do that at the scale that they wanted to do it.
yeah. No, I watched the first season. I didn't know they got a second season, and
Yeah,
I watched it, and like everything aesthetically. I thought was gorgeous. I thought some aesthetics I think they could have pushed it a little bit further, but that's always me.
yep,
Um, but I know they had to play it safe because they had to pay like advertise it to a general audience,
yeah.
I just thought like the story and maybe a little bit of the acting I thought was like okay, it's a bit of hit and miss here.
Definitely some hit and miss. They essentially had to reformat it into like a Sherlock Holmes show with fairies, where
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
that's not what it was supposed to be. And there's like little remnants of greatness from the original idea, like an airship will show up or something, and you're like, oh, this like could have been a really cool world, but I just don't think anyone had the
yeah.
money. I don't think anyone had the money to do it. But
No, I think it was a very ambitious project.
yeah,
Very, very ambitious. Like maybe if it had the budget that the Rings of Power had, it could have been a bit
oh
more,
my god, I know. Talk. See, that's the weird thing is fucking something like Carnival Row had a ton of ideas and not enough money, so it failed. And something like Rings of Power had all the money in the world but not enough ideas, and it failed. And it's like, why can't we have a middle ground here? Why can't we have a solid script, good world building, and a decent budget? Why is it always skewed in one direction? And also, Miguel, we're talking to Sharky. We got Sharky on.
Hey, Miguel.
It finally happened.
Yeah. But like, yeah, Carnival Row aesthetically, I thought was gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that it's all practical, like the satyrs,
Oh
all
yeah,
that kind of
it's
stuff. It's like,
great.
yeah, give me more of that, you know?
It's fantastic.
Um, and like the one thing I thought like was successful is they went full lean into it. They weren't like, you know, like, oh, hey, fairies are real, but we're not really treating it. It's like, no, everything in this world is serious,
Yep.
you know? I just think, you know, the story is a little bit lacking. It was a little bit lacking, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I like this is just me. This is my personal opinion. I don't like Orlando Bloom as an actor.
I get that.
Um,
I get that.
and I felt like in the film in that series, he was just kind of like, "Oh, I'm a gruff British man." Ooh, it's like that's
I'm
not you,
doing
buddy.
this accent, and I'm gonna,
You know.
yeah.
Um.
Season 2 does the trope that I hate more than anything, which
Oh.
has been on the rise the past few years, and I don't quite understand why it's on the rise, but it is. Which is the main character has a Jekyll and Hyde thing happen, and their alter ego talks in a Cockney accent for no reason.
Oh, that sounds horrible. I'm really
Yeah,
happy. I
like
haven't seen
there's
the
like
second
there's like an
season.
evil Orlando Bloom in the same room as Orlando Bloom, and he's like, "Right, mate, we're gonna go down there and show her what it means to be a fairy." And I'm like, "You, you."
Yeah. And I love the fact that it's just kind of like they didn't say it, but they did say it in the series. Like, the fairyland is just Ireland. There you go.
Yeah, they did.
Uh,
I think they
Um,
say like Tir na Nog a few times.
yeah, and it's kind of like this is 100%, you know, just this, and it's like, yep, yep. I know everything's a metaphor for something in that series. But like as I said, it looked gorgeous, and Guillermo, like, yeah, it is just a huge unfortunate thing that he has had so many projects fall through,
Mm-hmm.
or his like absolutely some of his most beautiful works just, you know, they just don't hit it because I think he appeals to artistic people, but also I think it's a weird case of people are kind of like, you know, definitely where I come from growing up, people are kind of like, oh, you can't like that because it's weird, and so you never like it and you push it away, and because of that, it kind of fails, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I
What
remember like
Oh no, go ahead.
secondary school. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. Finish up.
Oh no, I was just gonna say quickly, like I remember in secondary school there was guys who were afraid to say they played like video games or something like Kingdom Hearts because like, oh, that's Disney, you know, that's for girls. What are you doing playing it? So guys were kind of like secretly at home playing Kingdom Hearts, and then you know, it's like, oh, you like that too? And it's like, cool, we gotta hide, we gotta talk in secret about this now.
Mm.
So I think it's kind of that kind of culture does affect some of Guillermo's films, and I think it's also a case where studios get the film and they're just like, this isn't what we want, you know? We thought this was gonna be something different.
I wonder, like, have you ever liked Orlando Bloom, or have you hated him and everything?
Um, I don't know. I think it's a case more of I put up with him, but I've seen like a lot of his films, like you know, of course, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit,
Mm-hmm.
Kingdom of Heaven. I love Kingdom of Heaven.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think he's the weakest thing in it.
Kingdom of Heaven's probably the most 100% he got this role because he was in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, no, 100 like because like he is based on a real character.
Yeah.
Like that's a true story,
Yep.
and the character is supposed to be a more grizzled old blacksmith, and yet we have this probably at the time like was it like one of like FHMs or whatever, like most handsome man in the world,
Yes.
you know, like just you know dashing his locks all over the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
But like everything else about like Kingdom of Heaven, I absolutely adore. You know, has some great design in it because you know that's Ridley Scott does come out with some great designs, even if
Ridley
he doesn't
Scott
come out
is
with
a
great scripts.
great art director. Ridley Scott
Yeah,
knows art direction.
yeah, and like I think with that one he nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
Like even stuff like where I watched, what was it, Raised by Wolves, and it's like this series looks gorgeous, but that's it, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Um, but anyways, yeah, back to the Orlando Bloom thing. No, I guess I suffer him from time to time.
So I always thought, so okay, I know your name is. Is it a coincidence that it's a Tolkien reference, or is it because it's a Tolkien reference?
No, so Sharky is my real name.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. So Sharky is my real name.
Oh, that's an awesome
Um,
name.
yeah. So it comes from. It mostly comes from Donegal, and the north of Ireland is where Sharky comes from.
I
And
thought that
the
was just your handle. I had no idea that was your real name. That's a great name.
No, no, Sharky is my real name. Yeah. It comes from mostly the north of our country, and so Token most likely knew someone who
Okay,
was a Sharky back in the day,
I
and
see.
was like, "Yep, I'll put you in the book," because it's even spelled the exact same way.
That's crazy. So like, I always thought, I don't know, because I was only asking that to get to if you were like a big Tolkien fan or just kind of a fan of the movies, or I don't know where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, no, so like it is just a coincidence that that's my name and that's the name of Saruman when he went
Mm,
to the Shire and stuff like that. Lucky enough, I did not know a lot of literate people growing up, so that never was a joke.
mm,
But no, it's very, very likely. And I think it was a weird thing. I remember I mentioned it to a family member once that, like, oh, hey, did you know in Lord of the Rings there's a character called Sharky? And they were like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. We had relatives living in that area during the time, like during those
oh,
times. And it's like, oh, yeah, because like a lot of people in my family, both on both sides, were kind of like, and like a lot of older Irish people would notice, like, if you wanted work in like
mhm,
the 60s, 70s, or whatever in Ireland, or even earlier, you'd have to go to England to get that work.
right, of course.
So like it was a case that a lot of them kind of went over for a few years, worked, and came back. So like somebody said, it's like it's very likely he could have met one of us, like one of the like these Sharkies, and he was like, oh yeah, like I'll name the book after you because you're such a bollocks.
That's awesome. I always
Um,
thought, so, okay, this was a long detour to get to. I
yeah.
always thought when I read the books that the forest elves and Legolas were supposed to have dark hair because they blend in with like the treetops and stuff, and like it's very shadowy in Mirkwood. And like, I want to say there's a painting by not Alan Lee, who's the other one. Um, fuck the two artists that did almost all the concept art for those movies. Not Alan Lee, the other guy did a drawing of Legolas that I always thought was the way he was supposed to look. And when I saw the movies and they were all blonde, I was like, why? Like what is this? Like that was Legolas is the one character in those movies that I didn't think looked the way I thought they did when I read the books. Everyone else looked pretty
Mm.
perfect.
Um. Well, yeah, like a lot of people do say it. I think I found that it's John Howe, was it?
John Howe, yes.
I think it might be this image.
Let me take a look.
Um. Where is it? No, nope. Google is being weird, so I'll send it to you there. Um. Well, yeah, it was always the kind of the talk that a lot of people said, like, kind of the elves and stuff like that, and Lord of the Rings were based off kind of Irish
Mm-hmm.
culture and stuff like that. Yeah, Irish culture and stuff like that. I remember growing up as a kid, when we went to Galway, there was a few shops that still wrote in Old Irish,
Mm-hmm.
which was more of an elven font. It would be like the long kind of swirls and stuff like that. But unfortunately, that kind of way of the writing that died out like maybe 20, 30 years ago.
Right.
Even when I was a kid, seeing that, people are like, that's just really old. So it is always said like the elves in Lord of the Rings were kind of based off Irish language and kind of mythology and stuff like that.
Man, I wonder. I want to know how
Mm.
much. I want to get more into the folklore because I was into it for a long time, but I need to get back into it and I need to immerse myself in that stuff because I love all the Celtic and Gaelic folklore quite a bit.
Mm.
And I feel like it's like ever present in media, like it's in the background all the time, but it's never called out for what it is. I think it all gets put under an umbrella of like Celtic, or some people even call it European, and it's like kind of, but it's more specific. It's way more specific.
Mm. Like growing up, this is from my personal experience, like growing up in school, is that like we would have history class, like this would be in primary school, so elementary school, where they'd be like, oh hey, we're having history class and here's your history. It's like the children of Lear, or Cuchulainn, and we were kind of like those like this is your history kind of thing.
Is that how
But
you say that?
unfortunately,
Is it Cuchulainn?
Cuchulainn, yeah.
I know exactly the word you're talking about, and I never think I'm pronouncing it right. Okay, Cuchulainn.
Yeah, well, I'm here to help you with any as much as I can with any kind of pronunciations if you need it. But yeah, there's Cuchulainn, and like Fionn McCool and stuff like that.
Is it
Uh,
Unseelie? I can never get that one right.
oh, the Unseelie Court.
Unseelie, yeah. Is that how you actually say
Yeah,
it? Unseelie?
Unseelie. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
that's more kind of northern, and like Scottish. I think like the Unseelie Court actually come from Scotland.
Okay.
Um, like the same thing with like I remember like it was when Rebirth was coming out, Final Fantasy Rebirth was coming out. There was a big debate over how to pronounce
Ketchi or
Kate
Kate
Sith.
Sith? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it would have been Kate Shi, Kate Shi.
Ketchi, yeah.
And I remember that was a huge thing. People were like, "We're gonna call." It's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Just call him Kate Sith. Just leave it
They
like that.
did. That's the one thing they did right. They called him
And
Kate
I
Sith. Yeah.
and I was like, you know what? I'm happy with that. I don't really want, even though like that is like a Scottish folklore character of like the
Mm-hmm.
King of Cats. And people were like, so that's why he always had a Scottish accent for no reason.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, stuff like that. Like when we were going to school, we are told like Irish myths, but like unfortunately, 90% of these Irish myths are like, and then the church saved them.
Of course.
You know, I think is it the story of Fionn McCool where like he went to Tirna Og and he lived there for like 400 years or whatever, and then he said he wanted to go home to see his friends and his family, so he's put on a horse
Yep.
and he was told if you step off the horse you will age, you'll die,
And you can never come back. Yeah, you can
and you can
never
never
come
come
back.
back. So
Yep.
he goes out and I think he goes to his father's, I think it's his father, maybe it might be his son's grave,
Mm-hmm.
and he steps off his horse and he instantly ages.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, I think it's St. Patrick gives him like his final rites, and it's like you can die as a Christian. I'm like, fuck
It's
that.
so insane. My favorite part of that story is or at least some version of it that I heard is that when he comes back on the horse and he comes to the more modern Ireland, he's like, "Who are these people that took over my country?" And he's like,
Yeah.
who are these weak people that aren't big and strong? And like, what are these places they're living in? And he doesn't recognize because like the warrior spirit's been like kind of bred out of the population or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was kind of a thing where like we went from like a warrior people and kind of somewhat portrayed as like barbarians, kind of in a way, like savages,
Yeah.
as most colonials will like say like,
Uh-huh.
oh no, they were savages till we got here.
Till we gave them the
To
gift of civilization.
Yeah, so then we became Christians, like Catholics and monks, and we wrote books and all that kind of stuff, and that's where we went afterwards. And
I
I was
love
kind of
that
like,
part of the
cool.
story because he's like, "Who are these weak men that cut their hair and shave their faces?" And I don't
Yeah,
recognize these people, and it's very tragic.
yeah, it is, and that's why it's like whenever it comes to like stuff like St. Patrick's Day, it's like, yeah, cool, cool, celebrate the guy who kind of stripped us part of our culture and the way we're supposed to be a little bit.
So I don't actually
Um,
know I don't know what St. Patrick's Day is actually celebrating because in America it's just drink beer and eat corned beef, and I don't know anything about St. Patrick. Isn't the one who is that drove the snakes out of Ireland, or is that somebody else?
no, that was St. Patrick. St. Patrick drove the snakes out of
And the
Ireland.
snakes is a
Uh,
metaphor for the Celtics and the pagans, right?
yeah, the pagans, the druids,
Okay.
our original kind of beliefs and stuff like that. So basically, like I always find it like very, very weird. We kind of celebrate the man who kind of was one of the first colonizers for us, you know?
Yeah, who like wiped out
Uh,
everything cool about the culture
yeah,
in a weird way.
because we had a like a rich enough culture beforehand, and then he came along and was like, nope, you all have to be good Christians, or Catholics, and we're like, yeah, cool, I guess we'll do that. And so that's what it is. We celebrate here. So there's two halves of people in Ireland that do it. There's like there are people who go to who do St. Patrick's Day religiously. They'll go to mass in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
They'll climb St. Patrick, or like where apparently he's like was buried at one point or something like that. It's Crow St. Patrick. It's a mountain
Mm-hmm.
in the west that people will climb for the day and then go back down, and that'll be their religious experience. And then there's probably 80 to 90% of the population who just get drunk.
Yeah, that's
You
what it
know,
is
like
here. No one knows anything about it other than it's an excuse to drink Guinness and to eat corned beef, and like that's the
yeah,
holiday.
and that's pretty much what it is here. People get drunk. Yeah, people get drunk. They watch the parade. That's it, and
Hmm.
it's just mayhem. Like a lot of us won't even bother entertaining the fact of trying to go near town on a Patrick's Day because it's just so crazy.
I'm fascinated by this isn't an Irish thing. It's a Welsh thing, but
Mm,
I'm fascinated by places that were conquered by a people, and they were sort of assimilated into this colonial structure, but they
mm.
maintain something from the pre-existing more pagan society. Like, what's that Welsh tradition? I think it's on Christmas Eve where there's like a horse head. It's like a
Yeah,
horse's
I can't.
skull, and it has a name. It's like a ghost they parade around.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I can't do it because Welsh is a very crazy language.
Yes,
Like I think it's called like Govindaval or something like that.
you did very well with
Uh,
that. That sounded pretty accurate to me.
but yeah, somebody puts on a horse head and they put on a giant cloak and they go around to a house and it's just it's an old tradition. So you knock on the door
Hmm.
and I believe it's you're supposed to give them some food to eat or you tell them a joke.
So awesome.
Um, so like you do that, and if you don't tell them a joke, they kidnap you.
That's so awesome.
Um, so like I think there was a anime made about it. I think it's like the Bride Magus or something like that. I think is based off of it. Um,
I'm so fascinated by those random little elements that survive
mm,
that weird assimilation process and like where they pop up and why they maintain.
it
Like,
it really is a case of they want to hold on to their culture no matter what, and in spite of what has happened to them. Like not that they like oh like we're gonna get in a rant against the British now, but just a quick thing is like
go ahead,
they
man.
really did a lot of stuff to colonize Ireland and Wales and Scotland. Like we all had our own individual languages.
Yeah.
Like Welsh is a very difficult language, and stuff like that. But there was a case of like in Ireland, it was illegal to speak Irish for nearly like 400 years. It was
Yeah.
illegal to speak it. So that's why in the west of Ireland, it's still kind of like a lot of people teach it there because that was the only place you could speak it because they didn't go out that far. They didn't care.
Hmm.
But in Wales, they had something called the Welsh Board, which was if a child went to school speaking Welsh, they'd put this board around his neck,
Whoa.
and it would be a big plaque that said, like no Welsh. And the child would be ignored or back in those days beaten or hit
Yeah.
by the teacher
Yeah.
till they start speaking English. So it became a thing of like people were kind of like, no, we're going to hold on to this language, we're going to hold on to this culture as hard as we can in spite of what they're trying to do to us.
Hmm.
So that's why, like, you get a lot more people nowadays, especially in like since I think the late 90s, 2000s, like Welsh speakers in Wales have like risen up because people are like, no, I want to hold on to my culture. And of course, they hold on to traditions like that where, there be a giant horse skull coming to your house once a year asking for
Yes.
food or jokes.
And I
And I think
mean,
it's gorgeous.
Welsh language specifically, like every language is unique and beautiful in its own ways, but the
Yeah.
Welsh language is one of the craziest languages just I've ever encountered. The way it's written, the
Yeah,
way it's
no.
pronounced, it's just such an interesting thing that I wouldn't want to lose.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's a very unique language. And it's Welsh sounds closer to what the original English language sounded than English does.
Yeah.
So, like, if you really go far back, it's like nearly everyone in England would have been, or the United Kingdom would have been speaking some form of Welsh instead of English. And it's just over time, like, like French came over and that kind of integrated into that and some Germanic. And like English really is a bastard language of multiple languages kind of pulled into one.
Yeah. I just love reading. I don't know. It's been a while since I've done it, so I might get this wrong. Apologies. But
No, great.
I love reading the historical accounts of like the Romans going to Britain and Ireland and Scotland for the first time and
Mm.
being like, we encountered these people that were covered in blue tattoos and painted in woad, and there were burning wicker men and like all this insane shit. And they're like, so we built a little
Mm.
stone wall. And we said, keep it all over there, guys. And it's I don't know.
Yeah.
Their accounts of Ireland are like they didn't even like fuck with it. They were like, we're just gonna stick to this Britain thing over here. We're just gonna hang out and try to get rid of these guys.
Yeah,
But
I think like when we were being ready, we were like, it's like, oh yeah, the Romans came over, said it's too cold, and then left. And I was like,
yeah,
yeah, that sounds 100% right.
it's so funny the way that they describe their like first encounters with people, and they're just like, oh, it just sounds like nightmare awesome shit.
Mm.
I just watched Wolfwalkers. I don't know if you've seen that
Wolfwalkers,
yet.
no, like that's Al Cartoon Saloon. Um, I have my theories about Wolfwalkers that it's just like because like none of their films, like Cartoon Saloon, money. Like I don't think any of their films have really made any massive money.
Hmm.
Yet every 2 or 3 years, they're like, oh, here's another Oscar-worthy film, And I was thinking it's
Yeah,
like, oh, they're definitely backed by the government. Um, but like I've had
where
two
where are
friends
they
who work there.
located? Are they? I don't know what country they're
They
in.
Going Cartoon Saloon is Irish. They're in
Okay,
Kilkenny.
okay,
I had a few friends who worked there, and I know that if you work with the studio, you have to be in that. You have to be in Kilkenny, because I think they get a tax break for being there. Uh,
oh, okay.
so like everyone who had to work there has to live in Kilkenny,
Hmm.
and unfortunately, Kilkenny is a very popular place, so it's very expensive to live in.
Sure.
So you got animators who are kind of like, cool, we're making this much a month, so there has to be six of us living in one house.
Hmm. Did it get Did Wolfwalkers get awards?
I know it was up for Oscars.
It should have. It was
I'm
quite
not
good.
sure. I think a Pixar film won it that year again.
It was quite good.
But there's Wolfwalkers, and then they also did a film, The Book of Kells.
Book of Kells is one of my favorites. That's how I first found out
Uh,
about them. And
yeah,
Song of the
uh,
Sea, I think.
I think so. That's another one.
I don't think I've seen
Um,
Song of the Sea. I think that's the only one I haven't seen from them.
yeah, from far away, it should be all like dumb. Yeah, by Cartoon Saloon. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think there was a French animation company as well, because French animators are insanely good.
yeah, some good shit. I loved the portrayal of just Cromwell, just just one of the Cromwells, you know.
Yeah, it's really weird when like with the Cromwell thing, because like we see him as like one of history's greatest,
Mm,
not, I wouldn't even say villain. Like he is a villain, but something worse than that.
yeah,
Um, but like if you ever talk to like a person who's in England who's gone through um English education, they're just kind of like, it's like, oh, Cromwell, he fought against the crown. That was it. And it's like, oh yeah, yeah,
it's
that's what you know.
weird because for a long time I thought there were like six Cromwells, and then I realized there's like two, I think, and they just get
Yeah,
stories get told about them in different ways. So I thought there were more than two. Because like the movie Cromwell, you watch it and you're like, this guy rules. He's telling the king to go fuck himself. He's wearing a pilgrim
yeah,
hat. Fuck yeah. And then you're like, oh, he did insane, horrible shit. Like, oh,
yeah.
okay. And then the other one is like, who's the other Cromwell? I think it's Henry VIII's prime minister, who's the one who killed Thomas More in Man for All Seasons.
Mhm.
I think that's the other Cromwell. Was the Henry Tudor Cromwell.
Mm.
But it's just funny. Anytime that name pops up, I'm like, is he going to be the hero or the greatest villain ever?
Yeah,
So
it literally depends on like who's making the film.
it's very funny because for the longest time, I didn't think those two Cromwells were the same Cromwell, and they were the same Cromwell.
Yeah, but it's a weird thing. It's like, if somebody like kind of made a movie about Christopher Columbus in America, depending on
Which they
who's making the
did.
film,
Wait, was
you
that Ridley
know.
Scott who made the
Yeah,
Columbus movie?
that was really Scott, the one
Oh
where
fuck
it
me.
shows him as like, he was a good guy. It was called, like, was it 1683 or whatever?
1492 is the year he sailed, so maybe
I
it's
think
called
that's the film.
1492. Okay.
And it
That
has the French actor as the
that movie is bonkers inaccurate. That movie is
yeah,
wild.
where it shows him defending people and says, "You cannot do this," and then it's
Yeah,
kind of like, yeah, yeah, 1492, Conquest of Paradise,
there you go.
and has Gerald Depardieu as Christopher Columbus.
Oh gee, that's
And
Gerald Depardieu?
Yeah, it's Gerald Depardieu. Yeah.
I only know him from The Man in the Iron Mask when he plays Porthos.
Oh, he's amazing in that. But yeah, and like I remember seeing bits and pieces of it, and it just shows like Christopher Columbus as the savior, and then it's kind of like no, he's not. You
Jesus.
know,
Yeah, that
like
movie
it,
is crazy.
yeah, it's like everyone else, like all the other people were kind of like maybe you should calm down. It's like no, I'm gonna set children on fire.
There's another more accurate movie. I think it's just called Squanto. I don't think it has. I think
Mm,
it's just called Squanto, and that all happened like right where I live. There's a really cool statue of Squanto looking out at the ocean, not too far from my house, and that movie. When I watched that movie for the first time, I was like, this has to be made up. This is insane. Then I was like, oh, this is mostly true. It takes some liberties, but I didn't know the back half of the story where he comes back and all of his people are just gone, and
mm,
he's just walking around this place he grew up and no one's left. And I was like, this is horrifying.
yeah. I think it is a thing. Like those films need to be made to be people, because like unfortunately, sometimes it's the only way of teaching people kind of their history or what actually happens.
Right.
Um, like I say, I think it was they made what was it? There was an Irish film that came out there a few years ago about the famine, and they said like how do we get people interested in the famine? It's like, you know what? We'll do John Wick in the famine, and that was basically the film. I can't remember. I'm just trying to figure out what it was called again. But it was basically just a guy going around just like, killing a bunch of British soldiers during the famine, and it's like this is the only way we can get younger people to pay attention.
Right. Right. Yeah, makes sense. It's a shame when they have an opportunity to do that and they fumble it so hard. Like, I remember
Mm,
when The Tudors was coming out, I was like, finally, a show about Henry VIII. I'm going to love this. And then I watched it and I was like,
mm.
oh. It's like, oh, it's just an excuse to watch this guy have sex with Natalie Dormer. We're not going to do any of the real shit that happened. It's just going to be sex scenes and costumes, and that's it. And
Mm.
a lot of him playing tennis for some reason.
Yeah, it's weird. Like the weird thing is like because so much of that like stuff like Tudors and Vikings was filmed in Ireland,
Hmm.
and just because like I go in nerdy circles, so I meet people of like random like stuff like that. Like a friend of mine was like a stuntman on like all the seasons of Vikings, so he tells us all the stories about these people. I know a few guys who were production managers on the Tudors,
Hmm.
and every time you bring up the Tudors, like, don't fucking talk to me about it. And they're like, why? It's like your man. Oh, who is the main Tudor again? The actor
Oh god, it's like a three
Jonathan Rhys
name
Davis.
name. Yeah,
Jonathan
Jonathan
Rhys
Rhys
Davis.
Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just say like, oh no, don't talk to me about him. He was just you know um he was just a nightmare to deal with because he's such like a diva,
He
So like
reeks.
whatever I think of those.
When I think of an actor who feels like they should be bigger than they were, that's the guy that I picture. I feel like he thinks he should have been the most famous actor on the planet.
Oh, 100%, I agree. Like if you ever see him in Vikings, like
Who does he play in
he is
that?
in Vikings, he plays a Christian, like a warrior priest.
Oh,
Like he
okay.
plays like this like warrior priest who falls in love with I think it's Agatha, the main Viking lady.
Oh,
But he plays this this like warrior priest, but he destroys the scenery. He just eats it up.
does he talk like this still? Does he have
Yeah,
his little raspy voice?
yeah.
Okay.
He's like that the whole way through. He's 110%. Once again, I know a guy who was a stuntman in Vikings and said he was also a nightmare to deal with because he didn't hold back his hits. He like full on just
Oh,
whipped them with the sword, and he'd be
Jesus.
like, "Oh, come on, guys, let's do the scene again." And all the stuntmen are like, "Fuck you,"
Yeah, really.
because they're like you nearly like broke our arm by swinging that like broad. So like they're fake, they're blunted, but you're still like swinging like 7-8 pounds of steel at someone.
I always get so hyped for those shows. To be fair, I haven't watched Vikings. I don't know if it's good, but
Mm,
I always get so hyped for those shows and they always disappoint me. Like when the Tudors first came out, I was like, this is gonna be my favorite thing ever. Wasn't good.
mm.
And then the Borgias came out, and the Borgias faked me out because I was like, after like the first couple episodes, I was like, this is gonna be awesome, and then it didn't stick the landing. But boy, it started off strong. But
Yeah.
man, they never get it right. I don't know why.
Like Vikings was like a background show for me. Unfortunately, I can't sit still. I can't just watch a TV show anymore.
Hmm.
I have to watch it and do something at the same time, like
Me too.
draw or something
Yeah,
like
me
that.
too.
So like yeah, Vikings was okay, and then I watched Vikings Valhalla, which was its sequel, and I was like, this is horrible. This is really, really horrible. You know, it's at the end of the Viking era where Christianity is taken over, and it's
Hmm.
just like, oh yeah, this is just a bad series straight up, you know. And everyone I know, like I said, one of the guys I knew was a stuntman. Was kind of like, yeah, I quit after doing the first season of that show. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. Should I watch it, or should I leave it on in the background, or should I not watch it?
The original Vikings, yeah, you can watch it. You know, once again, take it with a grain of salt because you know it is like some of the stuff is right, but it is Hollywood, you know, history.
Hmm.
Valhalla, I would say give that a miss completely.
Okay.
But like with like any kind of like you know adaptation of that stuff, it's a case of you know they have to make it you know for everyone to watch it. You know.
Sure. I think there's a character design I really like that I think is from Vikings, of like a seer guy with like a hood, and he's got like he's all fucked up. He's got charms, and he's like a fortune teller, psychic, wizard type dude.
I think so. I think that's like an old woman
Oh, okay. I've seen the
because I think
design, and it's a sick
yeah,
design.
because I think in like I might be completely wrong on this, but I think in most Viking lore, like women were the kind of the seers.
Nice.
But I might be wrong on that. But yeah, yeah, Vikings is great. It's a lot of fun. You
Okay.
can just like sometimes you can just turn your brain off and just go with it, you know.
Nice.
But it does like have like you know hints of like what actually happened. Like they did go to England and they did try to settle down and
Hmm.
all this kind of stuff. Like Dublin is a Viking word.
I didn't
It's
know that.
Duvlinia. Yeah, it's Duvlinia means Blackpool. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, because like Dublin used to have like literally just like you know the Liffey was black back in the day. Well, it's still is, but that's for more you know everything going into it.
Hmm.
So they just called it after that. You know Duvlin, which means in Irish means Blackpool, but the Vikings called it Duvlinia.
Okay. Well, let's get to the main event that
Yes.
I know you've been waiting for. You know what's coming.
Oh, should I be ready?
Tell me what you liked and what you hated the most about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Um, I liked the fact that they got little character moments really good.
Give me some
You know,
examples.
like when you go to the Golden Saucer and
Mm,
You see Jesse's portrait, like her poster.
yes.
And you go by, you see Tifa there, and she's like, she really was something. And then you leave, and you come back, and you see Cloud there, just looking at it. Not Cloud, Barrett.
Hmm.
And it's like those little moments, like, oh yeah, and like you know, when they're watching her performance, which I think was a sweet thing to add in,
Hmm.
they actually see what she did at the Golden Saucer.
Right.
Like those little character moments, I think are very, very cute, very gorgeous. Um, but my big problem was that I think the game was incredibly overbloated. You know,
Yes.
like there's far too much in it that you don't need to do,
When you go
and
to
so much
Costa
of
del Sol and they're like, let's play soccer with Red 13 now, and you have to. You
yeah,
can't opt out of it. You have to do it.
yeah, and like it's like, oh hey, get like you know your 13,000 steps on your Segway.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, why am I doing this? It's like I'm doing
Uh-huh.
it because there's the completionist in me that I have to do this. And I think was I put 114 hours into it,
Hmm. Sounds
and
about right.
I got most of the stuff done. There was a few more things to do, and then it's like, you know, I'm gonna look up what I get from these things. And then I
Nothing.
looked it up, and I was like, you know, no, fuck it. I'm just running to the end. That's it. We're gonna finish
Hmm.
this. And then I finished it in like was I think 3 hours. Like
Imagine
I just
my
like
shock when I completed the Queen's Blood side quest and realized that you get nothing.
yeah,
I was like,
and
what?
like the last fight against like the possessed player,
Yeah.
is such a bullshit fight as well. Like, because
Yes.
I actually did the Queen's Blood stuff because I enjoyed playing that game. I was
Yeah, it
like,
was
oh no,
great.
this is a little bit nice thing. And then the fight against her is like this makes no sense. And I looked it
Yes.
up, and everyone's saying like, oh yeah, the whole reason of this fight is like forget everything you've just learned. Is like that's not how you do this.
Yeah.
That's not how you do any of this. You
And it
know?
does the cardinal sin of the reward for beating the card game is the best card in the card game, but there's no one left to play the card game against because you beat the card game.
Yeah,
So it's like
and
your reward is just useless because there's no one to use it against.
like that is 90% of the quests in that game. Is like, hey, you did this amazing thing. Here's your reward that really would have helped you out in that quest, but now it's useless to you
Yeah.
because you've overpowered it. You know?
Yeah. Shocking. Shocking to me that they could make that
Yeah.
mistake so many times.
Because at one point I was like, do you know, I'm gonna collect all these things for I think it's Johnny and his seaside events. I was like, oh, this is really cool to
Oh,
have all the
yeah.
collections.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm missing stuff that I'm probably not gonna get, or it's really, really difficult to get. Let's see what I get if I collect everything. I was thinking it's gonna be a super cool summon or some amazing magic or even like a cool weapon or a bangle or something.
Yeah.
You get Sephiroth song music, like sheet music for the piano game.
Cool.
And I was like, no. Like that was the thing that broke me. I was like, nope.
Really
We're just gonna
cool.
we're gonna go to the temple. We're gonna do that temple, which looked gorgeous. You know, that did look gorgeous. And it was a bit of a wild ride going through it, but nope, just no thank you.
Yeah,
I was
that's
like, that's when I was
wild.
officially done with that game, and then everything afterwards, where the temple disappears, and spoilers for anyone who's played it, you know, who hasn't played it yet. Like Sephiroth shows up with the tentacles, and
Mm-hmm.
there's that whole scene. I'm like, oh, what's going on? And
Mm-hmm.
then you skip the entire I was thinking it's like this game isn't gonna do the City of the Ancients because like
Nope.
I remember in the old game like you had to do this big kind of run around discovery trying to figure out where it is,
Mm-hmm.
and there was like a few mini games, and if anything, Rebirth loves mini games. So I was thinking they're not going to do this without a mini game. It's like, no, we skip everything. You're just at
Skip
the
it.
door.
And you don't even get to explore it when you get there. And like I
No,
wanted to
it's
I
just
was I couldn't wait the whole game. I was like I get to I'm going to see the a realistic rendering of like the cool seashell buildings and it's going to be
yeah.
like all these fossils. I was like this is going to be awesome and then you can tell where they ran out of money.
Oh, 100%. Where they ran out of money and time, and someone said, "Get this out now."
Yeah, you can tell where they ran out of money and it's right after Nibelheim. They were like
Yeah,
we can't do Rocket Town, just get the tiny Bronco somehow.
that
We
killed.
can't do Bone Village. We can't define just go to the City of the Ancients. Just do it. I still
Yeah,
maintain that game would have been great if they ended it right at the Demon Wall fight. Don't leave the temple and just end it there. Don't do anything
yeah.
else. But yeah,
Like
I don't know.
I enjoyed the fight with Genova in the City of Agents because I thought that way of doing it made it very interactive, very cinematic. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But the fact that like you have to fight a bunch of wisps to get there, and then there's good wisps and bad
Oh my
wisps.
god, White Wisps is such a cringe Nomura idea. Ugh.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of like, what's and then there's like all the dark wisps want to like help Sephiroth destroy the world,
What
and
if there was a white Grim Reaper that didn't have a
yeah.
scythe and he gave life instead of death? I'm really cool. Like I don't know.
And then I saw like my biggest one of the biggest things I got really annoyed design wise was the redesign of the weapons
Hmm.
where they're just giant fish, but people are saying like, oh, that's their larval stage.
Well, we
You'll
don't
see
even
what
know.
they'll
We don't even know what those are. Those might just be other weapons that we've never seen. Because the weapons from the original game are frozen in a glacier at the North Cape.
yeah.
So
So
like,
like, but people
yeah,
are saying these are supposed to be the late the kind of like the baby versions of them before they grow into the weapons. I'm like, you better because like those weapons from the original game are some of the most beautiful designs,
yeah.
great
Those
designs, and
are. I
these are
mean
just effort.
that scene's gonna be crazy. And
Yeah,
whenever part three comes out, when you can walk around a giant iceberg with huge monsters frozen inside of it,
yeah,
at least it's gonna look cool. But yeah, I don't know. The
yeah.
only
But like
Go
it
ahead.
was super bloated. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the only reward in the game that I liked was when you finish the Proto Relic quest in Gilgamesh. You get Gilgamesh as like basically a fifth party member because you can summon him and he can fight alongside you. It's like that's
Yeah,
the only cool reward is that.
like I did enjoy getting like when you get to his island, Gilgamesh Island, and you're fighting all the summons to get him.
Yep.
I thought that was really really cool. because it was very kind of like you got to use you actually got to think in a fight for once, you know, because I
Yep.
feel like 90% of that game you just brute force your way through it, you
Absolutely.
know.
Absolutely.
Um, and that's what I did. Like for 90% of the film, it's like, yeah, let's just say, Cloud just smashes through everything, Barrett shoots everything.
Hmm.
There's no point in learning these enemies' weaknesses because they'll be dead by the time you build up enough ATB to actually do something to them, you know.
Exactly.
Um, Well, like, yeah, so when you get to those guys, you actually have to think, and I think it is kind of a huge difficulty spike because you go from like, oh yeah, we'll just hit it loads of times to, no, I actually have to think now. So I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed the fight against Gilgamesh because it was an actual challenge.
Yeah, it was great.
But I hated the quest getting to him, especially that
Yes.
like,
The
oh,
robot
was it outside of
game.
Golden,
Oh.
the robot game? Which one was the robot game
It was
again?
called like Gears and Gambits. You had to like program. Oh,
Oh, the one
fuck
in
that
Cosmo
game.
Canyon.
Yes.
That was so, and the thing is, like, you guys had a Fort Condor game that was actually pretty decent in Intergrade,
Yeah.
and you brought it in a little bit in this, but then you bring in like this other kind of weird, cheaper version of it, which
Also,
just didn't
like,
work.
I get that it's for budget reasons, but we really couldn't just make Fort Condor a location that you go to, like in the original. It had to be a. Because,
Yeah,
like,
because I kept on seeing it in the distance, and I was like,
yeah,
"Can I get there?" And then when you get the tiny Bronco as your boat, I was like, "Oh, awesome! I finally get to go there." And it's like, "Nope, it's cut off by a bunch of rocks. You can just
that's
see a
exactly
bird."
what I did too. Do you think they're gonna add it in part 3, or do you think they're just not gonna do that?
I don't think they're gonna bother, like, unless it's kinda like a super quest where you have to go to Fort Condor to get a super rare condor. Because like, Condor was a summon, wasn't it?
Because I want to say, is Fort Condor part of the huge materia quest in the original FF7, or is that reactor not part of it? I can't remember because on
Um,
disc 3 or disc 2 you have to get all the huge materia, and I don't know if Fort Condor is one of them. It
no, I
might
don't think
be. I'm
so.
not sure.
I think you go to Fort Condor and you defend it,
You do
and
multiple
then you
times.
get yeah, then you get a summon of, Condor.
Phoenix, yeah, you get the
Yeah,
Phoenix, but
but in this one, you just have Phoenix, I believe, so,
you
like,
just have it. That's the other thing I
yeah.
didn't like. I don't like that the summons are Chadley's AI reconstructions of local myths and legends. It's
Yeah, I
so
think that
lame.
I think it just destroys kinda like the
Yeah,
feeling behind it. Like, it's cool when he talks about the story or the legend of them, like, it's like, "Oh,
yeah,
like, these were" like, I like the idea they finally did, it's like, these were things that were, you know, ended continents, ended countries, like,
yeah.
these things, like, fought off armies, like, "Yeah, cool. Keep that into it." Um, and
Yeah,
then
why
when you
can't
get
we just fight the actual deities and not AI reconstructions of them? Like that would have been
yeah,
like I
'cause
don't get it.
you go through like, these temples, these ancient temples to scan them, and it's like, why not, like, at the end of it, like, the last temple, like, you summon it and you have to fight it, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I didn't understand
But,
that.
like,
I get that it's because of budget and it's easier to just make you fight things in their little simulation thing, but
yeah.
just a bit of a bummer. I thought
Also, everyone hates
that's
Chadley.
Chadley just sucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm trying to think of what else. There's so much in that game that I loved and so much that I hated. I mean, obviously all
Mm.
the multiverse stuff I hated. That just goes without saying, but
Yeah, no, I like yeah, like, I'm always I do enjoy it, like, I am guilty of it, like, the what ifs, like, but I like, it's what ifs to see, like, "Oh, that's nice," not to be like, "Oh, I have to do this," or I
yeah,
have to be confused, like, the whole end thing with Cloud and Aerith on their date, I'm like, "Okay, like, where are we? Who are we? What's going on here now?"
mm-hmm.
Like, this is getting really, really
Strange.
overcomplicated for no
Yeah.
good reason, and it's kinda ruining the flow of the game.
Yeah, it's very weird when it's like, here's the mandatory segment where you play as Zack and you're chasing rainbows, and you're like,
Yeah,
which rainbow do I go down? I don't know. It's like okay,
and
it,
Zach is far too, like, just like, "Oh, yeah, this is cool, I'll do it." It's like, "What? No.
he's so nonchalant.
What
He's
the"
like, maybe I'm in a multiverse.
It's
Well,
like, why are you so accepting of this? This is insane.
he
Stop it."
literally has that line where he's like, if my friends are dead in this world, if there's a multiverse, maybe there's a world where they're still alive. And then he dies, and
Yeah.
I'm like, what are we doing? You're like happy about this?
Yeah, what is going on with you? Like, I know, like, you're trying to add, like, a lot of character to a guy from the original that didn't have character,
Yeah.
but, that's what Crisis Core did, but it's like, what are you doing with this guy? It just makes no sense.
Man, I wonder if we're ever gonna get a Final Fantasy VII remake. It'd be pretty cool. It'd be pretty
like
cool if we actually got one someday.
yeah, like we were talking about it a while back. Like the guy who did the mod where he just kind of gave it the like the watercolor concept art. It's like
Yeah, it
that's
looked
all you have to do with
so
that.
good.
Some HD backgrounds, maybe even just update the FMVs a little bit.
Do you
You know,
think? Okay, so here's a thought experiment.
Mm.
Do you think when part 3 of this remake trilogy comes out, do you think modders would be able to remove all the added shit and make a fairly faithful adaptation of the original out of the pieces? Or do you think the multiverse shit is too inextricably tied into all the bullshit?
I think it's too tied in.
Yeah.
Like you'd be literally gutting the games down to nothing.
Mm.
Um, Also, like I don't even know how they would even start about doing that.
You'd have to
Like that just
remove
seems like a
all
huge
the
task.
Zack stuff. You'd have to remove all the weird fourth wall breaking lines. You'd have to, because I don't know, like, it's weird because in part 1, up till the later chapters, it was pretty much one to one. There was a lot of padding and added stuff, but
Mm.
they didn't lean into the multiverse twist until the last like couple chapters. So that one seems pretty easy to rip it out of. Part 2, you'd have to remove all the chapters with Zack. You'd have to remove all the Flash sideways moments.
Mm.
I don't know. Depending how bad they fumble the third one, I think it might be possible, and I think the fans love it enough that they'd be willing to take it on.
Like possible. I know I did not like Rebirth at all. I really disappointed me. I know I'm gonna buy Reunion when it comes on the PC. I know that.
Me too. It sucks.
Um,
It sucks to know that I'm that weak, but it's the truth.
I know it's gonna be bad. I know it's not gonna be that great, but I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna play it. Someone told me apparently it is nearly completed. I'm like, cool. We all know it's gonna be called Reunion,
Hmm.
but I think Reunion is gonna go off on such a weird tangent from the game. I think there's gonna be a lot more multiverse stuff.
Probably, yeah.
And I have a feeling it's a weird thing where you won't even like you'll be able to switch out characters from like different multiverses or timelines maybe.
I put Zack in my
Like,
party with Dead Aerith, and we're fighting the final
you
boss together.
know,
Yeah.
because like they're gonna bring back Aerith somehow because they're like, oh hey, like we really want to have a game with Aerith in it. Like
Hmm.
like you've spent 2 games with her. Yeah, we're gonna have to find some way to bring her in. Maybe or like you're gonna have Zack be able to do it, or maybe you're gonna be switching between like, oh, you play as Cloud and his gang, and then you go to the multiverse and play as Zack and Aerith in that universe and their Cloud.
My
And like in
God.
that universe, Cloud uses a machine gun instead of a Buster Blade because he's still a soldier,
And at the end, you have
or
to
like a Shinra
choose.
security.
At the end, Zack and Cloud fight alternate Zack and Cloud.
Yeah, to see whose
Oh my
timeline survives or
God.
something.
Yeah.
Like I could see
Sick.
it going that way, and like it's
Sick.
like it's like you're gonna have to switch. But it's like, oh, you're going through this dungeon, then you have to switch to the alternate timeline to go to that dungeon to do something in that one that changes what happens in your dungeon. I know that's gonna happen. I have a feeling that's really gonna happen.
They did hint at one cool thing at the end that, if they do it right, could be very interesting and could be fun. And I'm actually surprised the original FF7 didn't do it. And that is that obviously they say in the original and they say in the remakes that Genova can show up in the form of other people. And Aerith's mom says in the original that it showed up as their dead loved ones to gain their trust.
Mm.
That's a line from the original FF7, up in the iceberg, Icicle Inn area on the camera, Dr. Gast's lab. She's like, it showed up as our dead relatives to gain our trust, and then it started killing all of us. And at the very end of Rebirth, everyone takes off in the tiny Bronco, and Cloud's behind, and he looks over his shoulder, and Aerith's there, and
Yeah,
she has a red tint in her eye, and he's like, "I'll do it all for you, Aerith." And I'm like, "Oh, is he talking to Genova? Is this going to be a
yeah.
twist that Aerith's still hanging around, but it's going to end up being Genova? That could be fun, but if they do it
Like
right,
I love that ending for the fact it's like, oh, cool. Cloud has fully broken now. He is gone, full on insane.
yep,
And like this isn't like the life force because Red can see the life force stuff as well.
yes,
he's very attuned to it. Or Nanaki. Oh,
Oh, now that you
uh,
know my name, I can be my true self. Oh, I'm gonna.
oh, I want to be a chocobo rider. I'm like, oh my god, what have you done to my boy? You murdered him.
I'm proud of my dad,
Um,
Cedo, the greatest warrior of Cosmo. I'm like, why do you have to? Okay, sure, we know that now you're a teenager. Okay, that's a twist from the original. Fine. Why do you have to
yeah,
talk? Why do you have to talk like Sonic the Hedgehog now?
yeah.
Why?
It was like I know I was warned about it. You warned me about it, but when I saw that scene happen,
It is shocking.
it is like what you literally just created a new character because like
Yes.
his personality, not even does his voice change, his entire personality changes, and it's
Yes.
insane.
It's like
I
being at
like
a
I couldn't get over.
it's like DeviantArt showed up to the art station party and it's like
Yeah,
what is happening? This is insane.
and then, because of that, like, and also like the way you get around Cosmo Canyon, that an area that should be fun and beautiful to go through is now
Mm.
my most hated area.
That
You
area
know,
was really cool until that part. You are correct.
yeah, and I was like, when you see Cosmo Canyon, like the town, you're like, this is gorgeous, this is unique, and then suddenly it's like, no, everything's ruined.
Also, what are we doing with that flash sideways right? That was crazy too. When you do the whole quest, you see Red's dad. It's very emotional. He howls at the moon, and then it pans sideways, and there's a ghost of the dead Gi tribe, and he's like, "Come with me to an alternate world." And then you do that, and he's like, "We made the black materia actually, and we want it
Yeah,
back." And you're like, "What? What is this? Why is
when
this
when
here?"
when that happened, I was like, I don't, like, am I having a stroke? Did this happen in the original, or is this
No.
all brand new? And I was like, okay, so you go through like the Gi and you walk through, and like, I was like, what is going on here? Like, why are we adding more story?
So the
Like, and that was another thing is
new,
they threw in so much more extra stuff that wasn't necessary either, you know?
yeah. So I guess the new lore that they're trying to force in, which by the way, talk about undercutting and ruining a really good moment. Literally panning
Mm,
sideways and having a ghost be there. But so I guess the new lore they want to go with is the Cetra. So okay, the Cetra were here on the planet. They were the ancients. They were taking
mm,
care of it. They were making weapons. They were fighting Genova, whatever. The Gi's home planet died, and so they decided to invade this planet from another dimension. But when they died, since they were from a different planet, they couldn't go into the life stream of the new planet because they're doing like a, if the planet's alive, it's like a blood transfusion thing. They're like the wrong blood type, basically.
yeah.
So they created a black materia to destroy the planet to make a new life stream that they could be a part of. Like I don't know why am I remembering this correctly or is it's so cringe.
It's something like that, or the black materia is just gonna kill them straight out. It's gonna like push them into oblivion or something.
Oh my god.
And I was like, why do we need all this? We don't. And then, as I said, the game is so bloated with extra stuff that's not needed, and the stuff that is needed isn't put in. Like going to Rocket Town and meeting Sid that way is like amazing. I love Sid in the original. This
Yes,
grumpy old man is
awesome.
kind of like, damn you, Shinra, for taking away my rockets.
Yep.
To now, it's like, oh, okay, so he's just a guy with a plane who used to work for Shinra years ago.
I like the
And you,
idea that he knew Afalna. That was the only thing I liked.
yeah,
Everything else about Sid they destroyed.
yeah.
When he's like,
Like
"I
the
knew
voice
your
was okay.
mother. Your mother was the only one nice to me at Shinra." I'm like, "Okay, this is good. This isn't bad."
Yeah,
The
but then
rest,
he goes in and is like, is she still single
yeah,
or
I know. By
it's
the
like,
way,
okay,
I might be your dad. I don't know, but yeah, that whole thing was interesting. But
yeah,
I don't know. Are we even gonna? I guess we're gonna have to see Rocket Town because there's no way they're gonna cut the outer space big materia thing.
yeah. And I was looking so forward to like when I got him. It's like, okay, is he gonna curry us around? And I guess that's okay. And then after a while, I was like, hey, I'm gonna join you. When you get the golden saucer, he's like, I'm gonna join you guys. It's like, oh, do I get to finally use Sid in the fight? It's like, no, you don't.
I'm gonna
Like,
tag
what was the
along.
point? Yeah, what was the point of having Sid or Vincent in that game? Because they did nothing.
You know what I
They literally did
noticed
nothing.
in the final fight with Genova at the City of the Ancients? I noticed something that I hadn't noticed up till that fight, and I never went back to check. So in that fight, randomly I paused it and I rotated the camera. I can't remember why. And in the
Hmm.
background, Vincent and Sid and my other party members I weren't using, including the ones that aren't playable, like Vincent and Sid, they were standing on the sidelines of the battle, and Vincent was like shooting a gun at the enemy.
Yeah.
Like, do they do that the whole game? Or are they like implied to be fighting next to you but not controllable?
Yeah, yeah. So the whole way through the game, because I noticed this at the beginning when I can't remember where I was fighting, and I just saw Bard standing on the edge, and he's there like shooting.
Oh, I
Um,
didn't know
so
that.
like yeah, the other party are doing outside attacks, so they're like shooting magic, depending on who you have. Um, yeah, yeah. So like if you have Bard or Aerith, they're shooting magic. I think Red and Cloud and all that, they do something as well. I can't remember what they do. I think they kind of like they kind of like, tease the enemy to fight them, I guess.
Okay. I don't know how
But yeah,
I
like
missed
I
that,
think
but I
like
totally missed
like
it.
Vincent just shoots his gun and it's like cool, but like you do nothing else, brother. You just sit
Right.
there. For like a character that they wanted to make more interesting, they kind of failed. You know.
Also, that intro to Vincent made me literally laugh out loud. It was so stupid. Kate Sith being like,
Oh
"We need a cell phone."
yeah,
I think there's a guy buried in that house that has a cell phone, or like they need like a computer terminal. Like we need a Shinra terminal. It's like,
yeah. And then he's
really?
trying to use his phone, and Kate Sith is like, "Oh, here, let me help you there, buddy."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Shh." I was just like, "What is
Oh,
going on?"
it was one every single time. I was just like, this is every time Kate Sith says something in that game, it starts with oh, and I'm like, all right, I'm getting a little sick of this.
Yeah,
That added
like
forced segment where you have to do the whole dungeon under the Shinra mansion with only Kate Sith, and it's just like, why are you doing this to me?
yeah, like it was little things he did. I thought I was like, "Oh, that's adorable," but I hate this. The
Yes.
way he has to hop up on the computer to use it because he's so short. The way he runs around, it's like, "Oh yeah, that's got a lot of they put a lot of character in the animation, but that was it."
Mm-hmm.
um, but yeah, it's just everything like with the game. Like I remember when I went to Com, I was thinking, "Oh, I never really pictured Com looking like this when I was a kid." Like that was the first time I was kind of like, "Oh, I'm getting warning signs here,"
Yeah,
because everything else,
I didn't think Com was supposed to be Quebec. It felt like
yeah,
very. I was like,
yeah.
I've been here. This is Quebec. Like I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, because like I remember when like everything I saw in like remake is like this is what it looked like when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Shinra building, that's exactly what it looked like. But then with Rebirth, it's kind of like I never really expected this place to look like this.
Right.
Like Calm never looked like that.
Gold
Chocobo thing,
Saucer looked way too futuristic. It didn't look like dingy and made out of rusted copper, and it was all like sleek and silvery.
yeah, and it kind of I think because of that, to me, it lost a lot of its character.
Yeah, because
You
to
know, like
me, it always felt like something someone cobbled together out of sheet metal out in the desert, and
yeah,
it looked kind of shitty, and it had like holes in it, and it was made out of like whatever they could find, and it was like, oh, this is cool, but it looks like something like a modern Disney attraction, and it's too futuristic. That's one of the only big complaints I have with the art direction of these sequel trilogy whatever games whatever they're
mm,
making in the FF7 universe. Um, all of the art direction for the enemies that are recreations from the original game, all the 3D models and all that look incredible. They look exactly like they
mm,
should. Everything's great. But they have this weird thing where the new stuff they add, this goes for the environments too. Um, the steampunk aesthetic that they did in the original with like the weird little elements of like cyber stuff, it all felt very dated and grungy and lived in. The new stuff they add is just straight futuristic, and it's like too
yeah,
futuristic, and it feels like it's like 50 years more advanced than like, there's like a giant Magitech looking robot that called a sweeper that's got like giant metal
mm,
sneakers for feet basically and huge chunky machine gun arms. And you're like, oh, cool. And then you fight like an actual like how does Chadley exist in the same universe as that? Like an actual
yeah.
cyborg that looks like a real human? Like what is that? But
Yeah, it takes away a lot of like I know they're trying to make like the difference between like, oh hey, here's Shinra, which is golden, clean, and sleek. Here's the rest of the world, which is rusty and shit. And it's like, yeah, I guess you can, but yeah, especially with Golden Saucer, it lost so much charm because like in the original one, there's like giant statues of cactars. Like when you go into the battle
mm-hmm.
arena, there's like swords and weapons and all
Oh,
this
the
stuff. And
battle
then
arena is like a piece of wood with like a moat around it, and it's like all bloody and gross. And on the new one, it's just
yeah, and
like
it's
a Super Smash
gorgeous. And
Brothers level. It's like what?
and in this, when you walk to it, it's like you're going to a concert hall, you know? And
Yeah,
it just kind of is lost. So like the haunted house has the most character
because it's exactly
in
the
that.
same.
And it's yeah, and it's like that has the most character, and it's like, oh, that's awesome, that's gorgeous. And then you go to the other places, and it's kind of like, okay, yeah, I guess like that's that, you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
very strange that they made the haunted house basically one for one, exactly the same as the original, and they changed
yeah,
everything else.
and like you go on these little escalators to fly around and zoop around, and I always said like my biggest problem with the golden saucer is it's not gold. It's just
Yeah,
a
it's
giant
silver.
white building, you
Yeah,
know.
it's very weird. It
Um,
looks like Avengers Tower in the distance of the desert, and you're like, why is this like a silver metal building? Like what?
yeah, I found that real disappointing, and I said with some stuff is like the reactor was the Mount Coral reactor. I think is one of the most interesting set pieces, and you're there for like 2 minutes,
Yeah, yeah, I agree
and
with
that's
that.
really disappointing because it's like it looks gorgeous, it looks interesting, and I know you do go back to it to fight, but like it's like that's a really interesting set piece, and then the one you spend like 6 hours in is just like okay, that's fine,
The
you know.
game has a bad habit of undercutting the best moments with goofy shit that ruins it. Like I was talking about, like Red
Mm.
13's dad. You find out that he killed, basically sacrificed himself to save everybody. Red 13 howls at the moon, big epic moment. Then it pans over to the side, and there's a ghost who's like, "Come with me, humans." You're like, "Oh, this is lame." And
Yeah,
then, in the same vein, my favorite part of the game was the Barrett stuff when you go meet Dine and like you do all that. Like the actor who plays Barrett fucking crushes all of that stuff. It's so good. And then at the end of it, you're like, wow, that was like really impactful. That was like a really awesome video game performance. And then you
mm,
chase a giant metal tree frog around the desert in a turret section,
yeah.
and it's like, what are
Like
we doing? Like,
I also felt like they sped past, like they really sped up the whole dying thing, you know.
yeah,
I felt like they ruined it a little bit. Like once again, the guy who plays Barrett, he's giving it everything he's
yeah,
got. Like he's
it's
doing a great
phenomenal.
job. And like it's the whole thing, like he's fighting. It's like, oh, I could have become this guy just as easy if it wasn't for Marlene, you know, or
Yeah.
Tifa picking me up. But like the fact that this guy is now like an Akira biomutant
Mm-hmm.
in the fight, I was like, that kind of ruins it because the whole idea is supposed to be like they are the same person, like
Yep.
just on either side of the coin. But now he's this like super power mutant, and it just felt like that was like bang 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 bang. It's like, oh hey, there's this massive story, a guy with a machine gun arm doing this, and like cool, let's track that down. And it's like, you gotta win a chocobo race, you gotta go do this, you gotta go get me some greens, and it's like it just completely kills the mood of like this very impactful important moments.
Yeah. They
And
do
then
it. They
afterwards,
do it
it's
at the
like
very
you're just like,
end. You get no. Sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, I said that's you just agree with you. Like the very end, it's like, oh hey, you're gonna fight this crazy teacup guy who's a pervert and a giant frog, and then
Yeah.
you're gonna shoot some people out of the sky, and then we're just gonna act like nothing's ever happened, and we won't come to this again until like another 30-40 hours in the game when he's gonna bring it up randomly.
Yeah. It's very, very weird. They do it at the very end too, where it's like that Genova fight. Like everything leading up to it kind of sucks. Then the Genova fight is good, and you're like, okay, this is
Mm.
good. And then it immediately jumps you into 7 boss fights across 5 different realities. With it's like, what is happening? Like this
The
is
Sephiroth fight was too much.
it was
It was just
insane.
like
Like, why are we
it was just too
seeing
much.
why are we seeing Bizarro Sephiroth from the end of the first game, like the final boss? Why is he showing up
Mm.
here? Like, the model looked great, looked fucking awesome. I wish they saved it for the end of the
Yeah.
game where it's supposed to show up. But like,
It just makes me feel it's like okay, so like, what are we gonna fight at the end again? We're gonna fight like giant wisp Sephiroth now at the end of the game,
probably,
where
yeah,
we summon a giant wisp Aerith to fight each other, so we can have a kaiju battle in the middle of Midgar now.
you're gonna get sued for
Or
leaking the plot line.
oh, I think I am. Yeah, like I swear to God, Aerith is gonna become a summon in Reunion or something.
We're gonna flash forward to
Uh,
Advent Children, and we're gonna fight there.
oh yeah, and then
Yeah,
we're gonna do Dirge of Cerberus. But like yeah, like just so much of it, I was just like, this is like no.
yeah.
um Sorry, I got distracted by my own idea of like a giant summon Aerith, just like kaiju battling. Like, yeah, oh yeah, the last end fight. I was like, we didn't need that with Sephiroth. It
Oh
was
my
just not
god,
needed.
and she impales Genova with her staff instead of the sword going through her, and it's like a cool mirror because Nomura
Yeah,
loves that.
and then
Now
you know
she stabs him. Oh my
and then
god.
she sacrificed herself to heal the world.
Hell yeah.
And everyone we've lost comes back. Suddenly, like Jesse crawls out of like seven, and was like, "I've been alive all this
Oh my
time,
god,
guys."
that's why they kept them alive in the alternate universe, so we could have Wedge, Biggs, and Jesse as a three-party
Yeah.
team of their own to control.
Oh, well, no, they killed off them. I think they effectively did kill them off all in the end now, haven't they?
I think they killed Biggs and they kept Jesse and Wedge alive.
Hmm.
Biggs, wait, who's who? Is the one who's voiced by the Breaking Bad dude Badger? Is that Wedge
That's
or Biggs?
that's Wedge, and he got thrown off the
He
Shinra
got
building.
thrown off the Shinra building. They showed
Yeah, they say
They
that.
showed Jesse in a coma with like an IV bag hooked up to her bed.
No, that was Biggs. They showed
Oh, okay. So is Jesse
because like
actually
he's
dead?
yeah yeah Jesse's dead. Because
Okay.
in Biggs you talk to him in the alternate universe, and then he just randomly he's talking to he's talking to Zach in the reactors, like maybe we should change, and then just gets shot in the head.
Right.
Like
Right.
it's so kind of just uneventful. It's just like, hey, we should, like, bang, he just hits the ground. You're like, cool. Like,
Wow.
I know it's part of the story, but I always think it's funny. Like, these guys who are fighting monsters can use magic, summon these godlike beings. Someone pulls a gun on them, they're like, whoa, calm down there.
Yeah.
You know,
That's a real
it's like
threat.
you have a guy with a machine gun for an arm, and some like thug with a pistol is like the biggest problem you have.
It blows my mind. I also fuck. They hinted at like Omni Chadley. Did you do that thing where they hinted at that for the third game?
Oh, weird. It says it's something like where like
It cuts away to
he starts
Hojo in a lab and he's like spying on. He's
yeah,
like, "That's right, Chadley. Keep collecting data on Cloud and his friends. Your brothers will put it to good use." And then there's like
and you
20
look
other
around, it's like
Chadleys in the background
you see
crawling
him in the
around.
tank, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna. I thought it was gonna happen in that game. He was gonna have a mental breakdown when I thought like you complete everything, and then like he's there like, ha ha ha, I'm the final simulation.
Oh my
Um,
god, dude! I can't wait till we fight Omni Chadley. It's gonna be
oh yeah,
so fucking cringe. Oh boy, I can't
yeah,
wait.
yeah, and then you get him as a summon.
Yeah, he puts him.
Everything's a summon.
He only exists after we beat him in the same VR simulation where he created the other summons, so he turns himself into one.
Oh yeah, yeah. But like just so much rebirth, and I remember sitting down, it's like, oh, I'm excited for it, and everybody, including yourself, is like, don't play it, don't even
Yeah,
touch it. It's like, I have to,
it's a shame because man, the stuff they got right, they really got right, and the stuff they
Hmm.
fucked up, they really fucked up.
Like the one thing I thought was really bad is like vendors basically become useless in towns
Mm-hmm.
because you have those little machines that can just buy everything from. So it's like, oh, cool, here's a vendor. It's like,
Oh my
cool, I
god,
don't
dude!
ever need to talk to you.
And the art direction team finding a way to put those machines in places they shouldn't exist, like an ancient Temple of the Ancients version of a soda vending machine that's just hanging
Yeah,
out by the boss. This is so embarrassing.
yeah, it's absolutely amazing. I just had to run off for 5 minutes there, so I'll be back to 5 minutes unless you want to cut this short.
No, man, you're good. Come back whenever.
Cool. I'll be right back as soon as I can. Thank
Very
you.
good, buddy. Hello, folks. I'm here now. Alone. Hmm. Mm-mm-mm. It's me. I'm here. Let me check what time I'm going to the gym today. Let me check my gym schedule. Actually, you know what? While Sharky's gone, I'm also gonna go. If Sharky comes back before I get back, tell him I'm just stretching my legs. All right. I'm live for one more hour. What kind of summer helmet do I have? I have like a recreation blue and gold one. There's a photo of me wearing it on my Facebook, I think, from forever ago. But yeah. I'm live for another hour, and then I must go to the gym. Having a hard time moving my legs today because I did too much yesterday. So I gotta go stretch those out because they hurt quite a bit. Not like an Edo one from Japan. I don't know how to describe it. It's just a recreation one. It's like a prop one. It's not like a real one. It's not like an antique. I don't think those are even allowed to like leave Japan. Maybe. But yeah. It's like a costume one. But it's high quality. Like it looks, other than the gold fins on the side that they're just kind of like flat, it feels good. It looks authentic up until you get to the fins. I swim every day, buddy. 90 minutes minimum. 90 minutes minimum daily. Dang. 2K depending on the condition. Jeez. No, mine's definitely not like real. It's real enough that I could use it for a reference and it would look good. I could like dress somebody up in it and it would be good enough to like do like a painting. But yeah. You can tell that the metal is like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like machined. It's not like hand hammered. It's all you can tell the metal is machined. I'm just here waiting for Sharky, guys. He'll come back someday. I know he will. You have legit shoulder pads? That's dope. When is, even though it shouldn't exist, when is Shogun Season 2 happening? Even though they should have ended it after Season 1. And I'm scared for what Season 2 will bring. When will I be watching it? I think I might switch over to Zelda stuff for my final hour of stream. Might. Yeah, I think I'm going to. I go ahead and save this. I got most of this section done. A little more I'd like to do, but that's okay. There's my boy. There he is. Let's work on the shield. Yeah, let's work on the shield. What's everybody else working on today? Anyone got anything good in the works? Sharky's giving birth. No baby shark jokes, okay? Umbrella Academy season 3 ruined that for me. I can't remember if that was season 3 or season 4. Whatever the most recent one is. What's everybody working on out there? In the world. Da-da-da-da. Beaver skeleton. Nice. Nice. Let me see here. Whoops. Let me look at some Zelda dungeon entrances here. Excellent. So, this thing. It's definitely an eyeball that's rolled up. I don't know what else it could be. It's a pig nose, and it's an eyeball that's rolled up. It's gotta be, right? It just has to be. It's a good idea, right? Want to be on a stream this week or Gross Girl? I'd love to listen to you talk to Gross Girl. Alright, so. Let's see. I make the ears go more up. And then. Or an onigiri. Yeah. True. It should be an onigiri. Or as Pokemon would say, I love these jelly donuts. Try one, Ash. I don't know. Jelly donuts are pretty unhealthy. Which day can I? Oh, I don't know. I'll be around Thursday the whole day, I think. Fridays are tricky for me now. I don't know if I want to redo this mouth or not. I probably shouldn't because I already did one, but give me 1 second here just to see. Give me 1 second here just to see if I can make it a little more accurate to the sprite, how it would look.
And I'm back. Sorry about that.
What's going on, buddy? What's happening?
Oh, just dinner was ready, so just grabbed a quick bite and
What are you eating?
scoffed it down. Came back to you.
What are you having?
We had roast beef with Yorkshire puddings and cheese and onion croquettes.
You're
and,
fucking killing me. Are you
gravy.
serious? You had that? You just ate that?
Yeah.
You're killing me. It's one of my favorite meals. I love a Yorkshire pudding with a roast beef. Ugh.
Yep. And we got it from the roast beef from a good butcher, so it was a nice, good cut of beef.
Oh my god, you're killing me. One of my favorite things. One of my favorite things in this world. I usually put I take the roast out halfway through and I put the Yorkshire pudding under it so the drippings go in while it bakes. Ugh.
Oh, that's a very nice idea, yeah.
I love a Yorkshire pudding. I love a toad in the hole. I love anything like that. I love. But anyway, we were complaining about things. What would you like to talk about now?
Yeah, and just get to the point there. Like, I did love the item boxes for each sections. That was a gorgeous way of doing it. Like I said, the ancient temple, where it's all kind of bricks. It's like, okay, even they had vending machines. That's good.
Yeah, shocking.
But yeah, no, like I thought like that was a good part of the design. But it's just unfortunately, like 80% of that game just rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, I get you. I totally get you. Such a bummer. If they would just take that combat system and take the script writers for like 16 or 14 or tactics They could make something truly great. I just don't understand why. I don't understand why it's so hard for them to do this.
I think it's Nomura and his just ideas
Chokehold.
of grandeur.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really don't believe he should have been put in charge of it. And I think why it worked for remake was because no one knew who was in charge.
Mm-hmm.
And then like halfway through the project, I think it was, they turned around and goes like, "Oh no, Nomura's in charge," and he was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay then. So I guess I take over." And in this one, he's like, "I'm fully in charge," and it's like, "No, stop it."
Such a bummer. Such a bummer. But anyway,
Yeah. Well, we still have the original, and
true.
we can be grateful for that.
And I replayed it on the new version where you can 3 times the speed to get through the parts you don't want to deal with.
Oh, that's yeah, that's really really helpful because doubling the speed in Rebirth was a lifesaver.
Yes. Yes. You can I don't know. If you just want to see those games, if you never played them, the emulated ROM versions you can get on most consoles now are like when they have the speed boosters, like
Mm.
good way to play them because you can all the stuff you don't want to deal with, you can just zip right through, stay for the fun stuff. It's nice.
Yeah, because they will have stuff in them that you're just kind of like, nope, I remember this and I hated it as a kid.
100%. Gross Girl, we're talking about our thoughts on Final Fantasy VII Remake slash Rebirth.
But like I will say, like playing as Yuffie is crazy fun,
Yeah, very, very, very fun.
and even though she's incredibly overpowered in the game,
Mm-hmm.
um, just because like she can do any elemental and she's just a murder machine.
Mm-hmm.
Because all that, playing as Kate Sith, that was actually kind of fun.
Yuffie was the only
Um,
reason I could beat the game without having to replay everything because they
mm,
stopped giving you at the city of the at the Temple of the Ancients, actually not even the city.
mm,
They stopped giving you save points and you kind of get fast tracked into this like 3 hour ending.
yes,
And you
yeah,
can't really get out of it. You have to redo the whole 3 hours if you get off the ride at any point. And I got to a fight. You fight like a third version of like Bizarro Sephiroth, and
mm,
you have to use the team members that weren't in your other team, but it doesn't give you any warning about that.
yeah. So
So,
you have to
yeah,
make sure everyone's super prepared when you go in.
and nobody was. And the second version of that Sephiroth, because you know normally you can brute force those things. For some
Mm,
reason, the second version of it, you couldn't beat it without doing elemental weaknesses. You couldn't do damage without staggering them with elemental stuff first.
yes,
And
yes.
the only character that could do that without an equipped materia was Yuffie for me. So that was
Mm.
it took forever, but I was like, I'm not going to replay all this trash that I just did. But yeah,
Yeah, no, I agree because like I think like halfway through the game, I stopped using like Red and Aerith just because compared to everyone else who were superpowered, it's kind of like these two characters are just not doing
mm-hmm.
what I need, and then I was suddenly like, oh no, like I have to fight with them now, and this is going to be a
Yup,
nightmare.
it punishes you.
Yeah, and also that skill tree that they put in that game
Oh my
is
god.
ridiculously annoying and
Yes.
overcomplicated and annoying, and it's like I don't know. I'm just filling it out. I'm just like just selecting something, and I don't think it's having a major impact on what I'm doing. So I'm just not going to bother with it anymore. I don't think it actually helped me or hindered me in the end. You know?
You got to increase your bonds with this character. What if you had a
Oh yeah,
bond? What if you had a bond with that character?
yeah.
Bonds,
Uh,
guys. Gotta have bonds with everybody.
Also, I did get very annoyed that when I got the comm, it's like I saw like the smiley faces on above their heads, and I was
Mm,
like, oh, is this some persona bullshit where I have to
yep.
like be friends with everyone and do this and do that, and I have to make
Which was in the original, but it was invisible.
yeah.
It didn't
But in
annoy
this,
you
it was just
constantly. Yeah.
this was kind of like because you could see it, and like for ages, it was kind of like, oh no, Red is the highest character I have, so that means I'm gonna end up on the date with him
I don't
apparently.
want to
So I
go
was
on a
like,
date with my dog. No.
yeah, that's weird.
No.
I don't have the peanut butter yet.
Wow. I understood that reference.
Now there you go.
What would you like to talk about? I've been talking your ear off about FF7.
Oh no, it's quite all right. I'm just enjoying having the chat with you. So if there's anything on your mind, I'm fully open to that. You know, how like I see you switched over to the Zelda pieces now.
I
How are you
did.
feeling about them?
I'm enjoying this one. I was a little annoyed by this face on the shield because it feels a little too goofy. I'll turn the layers off. The
Mm.
original one I did with the ears kind of out to the side and like the dopey smile felt a little too like goofy wonky, and it didn't feel like the architecture from the game. So
Mm.
I'm gonna fix that and then hopefully finish this guy. I uh, I I do like this one. I don't hate this one. I'm happy with how the little dungeon entrance up here with the rolled up eyes, even though it's two individual pig faces. I always thought it looked like one big face. So
Mm.
I'm happy with how that came out in the chest. Um, yeah, I like all the carvings in this. I'm satisfied with the Zora pauldron with that architecture from the dungeon floors. I'm feeling okay about this one. So
Mm.
Andy's thankfully monochromatic. So Gross Girl, this one is for fun. I am
Mm.
redoing all the sprites from the original Legend of Zelda as what I thought they were when I was a kid. Which proof of concept. I'll show you this one. I always thought this little blue guy was like a Viking with a crazy mustache because he had like horns on his head. Turns out he's supposed to be a rat, and those are rat ears, but I always thought he looked like this when I was a kid. So I'm just illustrating what I thought Zelda was when I was a child. And I've done like 20 of these, and there's so many. And yeah, there's a whole bunch. So
Mm.
we're doing that for the foreseeables. My only goal for this year is to finish this little personal project. So
Mm.
we will see
Like
what
it's
happens.
just such a fun and gorgeous kind of project and designs.
Thank you, buddy.
Um, yeah, like not the gush about it, but like yeah, just the job you've been doing with it. Like rendering style wise, that's always gonna be amazing and all that stuff. But
You're too
just the
kind.
imagination and the effort behind it has always been absolutely fucking gorgeous.
Thanks, man. You're very kind to say that. But yeah, it's just been, I don't know, I've been sitting on these for a very long time, doing them in my free time. I started them a while ago, a very long time ago, and I've just in between jobs and work and stuff, I've just been chipping away at them, but they're starting to stress me out because it's like I don't want to take on new stuff because I feel like I have this big unfinished thing in the background, so I want to just get them done and have them
Mm.
be done. It's also essentially a whole new portfolio because when it's done, it's going to be like 30 new pieces of character ish art. So, yeah, be nice to just get that out and then be able to move on to new stuff.
So like with this being in a new portfolio, it would work as both as like illustrative work and conceptual work. Yeah.
Kinda, yeah. The way I'm doing them, it sort of would, because I'm rendering them too much for them to be straight concept art. And
Mm.
then, but yeah, I haven't decided how far I want to go. Originally, I wanted to do all the enemies and the shop vendors and Link Zelda Ganon. Um,
Mm.
I think I still want to do Link Zelda Ganon. I don't know if I'm gonna do the shop vendors or not. I don't know, but that might just come down to we'll see where we're at after the summer's over. Hopefully, most of the enemies will be done by then.
Mm.
But yeah, I have to kind of one thing I never do that I'm gonna have to try to do. I've been putting it off till I know how sick my mom is, but
Mm.
I probably have to make an actual schedule and stick to it and go okay 2 weeks for this, 2 weeks for that, 1 week for this, and then whatever we have at the end of that time period, I might just have to stop being precious and just be like it's done. Whatever I have is it's that's what it has to be, or else I'm never ever going to finish it. So
Like true, is but like which way would you like to present it as like a piece of like just so like this is your illustrative idea of what the Zelda universe is like for you.
yeah, I have to say that it's what I thought it was when I was a kid, based on the pixels. Somewhere in there,
Mm.
I have to, or at least hint at the fact that this, when I see these pixels, this is what I thought I was looking at.
Mm.
But yeah, that's essentially. But it could be fun as a book. It could be fun as like, I don't know. I think they're too detailed to print in like a game manual sized book. I probably
Yeah,
should.
unfortunately, you
Yeah.
would lose way too much
I,
because like they would be what A5 size, maybe smaller, A5, A6.
yeah. I don't think I could do that,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But I could do them in some kind of printed format potentially. I mean, originally when I started it, I just wanted to have. I wanted it to be like my thing, like Dave was the Ninja Turtles guy,
Hmm.
and it's like I want to. Oh, it's the guy that did all the Zelda stuff. Like I just wanted it to be like, oh, like even if people don't know who I am, they might have seen this thing that I did that did the rounds.
Oh,
So
like these will definitely 100% do the rounds.
my hope is to have them done before the Zelda movie comes out, so I can kind of ride that hype because inevitably I think people are going to be disappointed no matter how good it looks. Even if they nail it, half the audience is
Hmm.
going to think it's wrong. So I'd like to ride that conversation and be like, this is what I thought Zelda was when I was a kid, and Nintendo's probably never going to make this version of that universe, so I did it myself, and I'd like to kind of ride that narrative a little bit. But yeah,
Yeah, Gross Girls, they're saying an Ashcan book,
yeah,
like a little printed booklet of your art, similar to a zine.
that'd be dope.
Yeah.
That'd
No,
be
I,
dope.
I definitely think you should get this printed. I know you're saying Nintendo can be quite bothersome with this kind of stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, like 100%. Like one of the reasons I always loved Arnie Arts, like Android Arts,
Yeah, his stuff
is because
hugely influential. Yeah.
he took stuff like this. It's like this is what I feel like, and it's like I've always thought he's one of the best kind of conceptuals of like taking an idea like that and just
Mm-hmm.
running with it. And also like people seeing like hyper detailed or hyper rendered kind of versions of things they saw as kids, like with
Yeah.
this, like the people did the Mario Brothers, Dave with his turtles and
Mm-hmm.
the He-Man stuff. It's like I think that's always going to be popular, and that's always going to gather a ground.
Android Arts is one of my. He's probably or I don't know. Is Android Arts a guy? I don't even know. Um,
I think the real name is Arnie,
Arnie.
like
Okay.
AR, and yeah. So I think they're a he, but I'll try to check. But I think
One
they're
of
also
my
very private about their lives.
yeah, I haven't really seen anything about them personally, but one of my favorite things about their work is they feel like the ultimate version of if you took like drawing in your sketchbook in high school to the logical conclusion and you never deviated and you
Mm,
never got sidetracked with trends and you kept drawing with the freedom and the imagination and the interests and the inspiration of your like grade school high school self, like
mm.
drawing the video game characters of the game you wanted to go home and play after school in your notebook all day. Like it feels like the ultimate evolution of that kind of creativity that I find that really really appealing and interesting.
Yeah. Because I think when I first found I think they were doing kind of like the old tech, like like an N64, like a NES or something like that, or old PCs, kind of like redesigned in their ideas. There is a name for it, kind of thing, but like they take old tech and like this is what it would look like if we kind of still went that way with technology.
Yeah.
I think that was the first stuff I saw, and then I saw their Zelda stuff and their Metroid. And I was like, this stuff, like art wise, style wise, I absolutely adored, but just the creativity behind it is just absolutely insane.
I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to think of what game I saw they did that I was really impressed by. There's so many. If you guys don't
Mm,
know Android Arts' stuff, just go look at all of it. It's incredible.
yeah, I popped the link in the chat for anyone. Even just check it out. Like, I am positive they've done something that you've been interested in.
Yeah, so
Like
good.
they've done video games, toys like Zoids. They've done Star Trek, Doctor Who,
It's so dope.
all this kind of stuff. It's crazy, and their output
Mm,
is insane.
yeah,
Like their output is absolutely insane.
that's the one area I really want to get better at is just output and
Mm.
consistency. Because holy shit, do I work too much for someone who posts never? It's just yeah, that's
Yeah,
the one big thing I'd like to force myself to get better at.
like I'm not gonna disagree with that because like like
Yeah.
whenever I tell people it's like, oh yeah, you should check out Daniel Warren, they're like, oh hey, like what's his stuff? It's like here's a T-shirt he did, and
6 years
here's
ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
and here's another piece he did 6 years before that.
Yep.
Like I know for a while you couldn't post a lot of stuff because you were working for Patreon doing minis.
Uh, yes, I was working for a company called actually I won't say who they are because I have talked about not so great things before, but
Yeah, of course. So
yeah, I did
the company.
probably 1,000 minis for them, and
Mm,
a lot of them were finishing like Steph and Carl Kapinski work because they at one point they had worked for them and they had left, and like they were like, we need you to finish these things that they started, and can you style match? And a lot of it was like taking other people's stuff and doing variants of it, like change the arms on this or put armor on this character but keep the drawing, and like so a lot of it's like work that I did, but it's not entirely my painting, so I never wanted to put it in a portfolio, but
mm.
it paid really well. But yeah, that was like so much work. It's crazy. Then I did that stuff for the Transformers Age of Extinction movie, and that was a studio I worked at, and they had a really weird, I think like a Hasbro type policy where you didn't do the painting, we did the painting. Like you're part of a
Mm.
team, you're part of a team, and you don't put it in your portfolio as something you did because we did it. And yeah, that was so I never really show that stuff off.
I
Um,
remember you showed off, I think, an Optimus Prime you drew.
yeah, they
One of them,
gave
but you had like a real low poly version of it, and you were saying like this
yeah.
file was like something like 6,000 DPI or something like that.
Yes, I think everything I did for them was minimum 600 DPI, and it was like 12,000 pixels tall minimum,
Mm.
because some of it would get printed on like sides of buildings, and I don't think I have any of those on this computer, or I'd pull them up. No, I don't. But
No, I think it was on your last computer, but I think it was a while back. I think this
yeah.
is when you're still streaming on Twitch. You were able to show it off. That was
Mhm.
near the end of the Steve Lichman kind of like
Yeah,
Twitch casts. Do you think at that time Dave was off getting married or something, or
sounds like something he'd
doing
do.
Dave things? So you
Yeah,
just popped on to give people advice, as you have always been great to do,
thank you.
for your feedbacks and whatnot. Sorry, I'll get off my knees and stop blowing you there in a
Yeah, I was
minute.
gonna say, buddy, he's getting a little worshipy,
Oh,
but no,
don't
yeah.
worry. Like I'll call you out on your bullshit too, but
Thank you. Yes.
um, but yeah, like, I remember you were showing off some of the Transformer stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was before that was right at my peak freelance before we did our Steve books, and then I took a
Mm.
big dip in productivity. But yeah, that was God. Those Transformers was part of like when I had like 5 full-time jobs. That was like the
Mm.
craziest. I'm glad I did that because it was nice to know that I could do it, but it was completely unsustainable long term. It was so stupid to have that many jobs at once.
Mm.
But it was nice to know that I could do it if I had to. But man, it was because that was like I'd wake up at 5, I'd be in the studio at 6, I would do 3 hours of work for Pathfinder, and then after that, I would do my 9 to 5 working on Transformers Age of Extinction. And then after that, I would stay there till midnight, and I would do another 7 hours of work for the miniatures company, sometimes more Pathfinder, a private game company I was doing portraits for. Oh god, it was just like it was so brutal. And then I'd get like
Yeah.
4 or 5 hours sleep, and I'd do it again. I did that for like a year. But yeah, wouldn't
Yeah.
recommend it. But
No, no, that sounds just yeah, that just sounds nightmarish, really. Like you just don't have anything. Like even I say even on the weekends you were still doing work,
oh
you
yeah,
know?
I lived there. I went into that studio on the weekends, and
Mm.
I had moved to Boston at the time, which was very expensive move for me because me and Dave at the time were thinking about opening a studio and doing Skull and Shark in the city. So I moved up there, and then Dave had to go and meet the love of his life, moved to Colorado. So then I got out of the city, and then we did our Steve books, and then everything worked out okay. Because I
Hmm.
did not know that we were going to make the amount of money or deals that we did on the Steve books, and then things were comfortable, so I could afford to take less freelance on, which was good in the sense that it wasn't killing me anymore, but it was bad in the sense that I got a little lazy and complacent, and I
Hmm.
stopped working as hard because I didn't need to anymore. But yeah, it was an interesting time. There's a lot of shit going on. Oh God,
You got
right. I was working for a few. Sorry, what were you saying?
no, I said, but you got there in the end. But who are you working for?
I forgot that I was working for. I don't know if I can say this. Actually, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
Probably not.
I
This isn't the
don't
crazy guy who
know.
wanted like T Rexes with machine guns fighting like orcs.
No, I did some work for someone who got like mega canceled.
Oh wow, yeah. No, I mean,
Uh,
probably
yeah,
best not to mention that out in public.
yeah, and obviously we had no idea, but everybody who was working on that had no clue. But that, yeah,
Hmm. But no, with that kind of stuff, it's always safe to never really kind of go out in public with that.
yes, yes. But yeah, so and then on top of that, I was teaching and I was lecturing at Art Institute of Boston, and it was just like that was insane. That was like there was no downtime, there was no free anything.
Hmm.
It was just work. But and then Brexit happened, and had to ruin a good thing for me because my miniature company couldn't pay me anymore because of they were in Britain, and it just fucked it up. It just ruined my cash cow.
Yeah, no Brexit. Oof, yeah, no Brexit was probably one of the worst decisions England has made in a long, long time,
Yeah,
and they've made a lot of bad decisions.
yeah. I remember that. I
Um,
remember the morning it passed, and they were like, "Well, we got to cut your pay in half." And I was like, "Well, I got to quit then." Man, that was such a good gig up until Brexit, though.
hmm.
The amount of money I got for that miniature company was just stupid. It was just so good for so long, but yeah,
You could always go down like I'm probably gonna get his name wrong, but Mike Franischella.
I'd have to see the work.
Yeah, I'll see if we can pull him up again. I think he quit Twitter. Everyone's quit Twitter now by the looks of it.
People do
But I
love
was
to
showing you
quit the
some.
Twitter.
Yeah, I think I was showing you some of his art there recently because he was the guy who did that Trench Crusade stuff. Like
Oh yes, yep.
yeah, he took his just these like originally was like, hey, I drew like a few messed up things, and then suddenly, yeah, Mike Franchina from Spitboy got it right, I think.
Yeah,
Um, I am horrible at remembering names from some time.
me too.
Because I used to run an artist alley, and so sometimes I'd be like, "Oh, hey, it's John or Jake or whatever," and then other times like, "Oh, it's like I don't even remember their artist tag,
Yeah,
so to be
yeah.
like Ninja Gen or something like that, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, hey," and then there's people I've known from the artist alley for like 6 7 years, and I still don't know their real names.
Yep, I know exactly how that feels. But anyway, what did they do?
Yeah, so Mike Franchina, he basically he went off and like drew a few things and they created miniatures from it, and now it's this big huge tabletop game that everyone is dying for right now.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, like I showed you those designs of like the Persian Middle Eastern soldiers.
Oh yeah. Yep, I remember
Yeah,
that.
that was all him, and like they've done like Catholic soldiers and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, like that's always a route, like if you ever wanted to get back into the miniatures, basically just draw some hyper detailed cool soldiers, and somebody like, I want to make miniatures of that.
I tell you
And with like
what, I tell you what, man. I think my inevitable future, and I feel weird saying this because I never thought I would go down this path. I think I kind of want to do, I don't know what to call it, brand art or fine art. I kind of
hmm,
just want to paint those skeleton guys and just do stuff that I think is cool and try to
hmm,
turn that into, I don't know, selling shirts or selling art books or selling prints, or I don't know. I kind of just want to be one of those, like one of those Instagram artist people.
Like 100%, I think so. Like those Skelly boys, I absolutely adore them.
I can't wait to finish
Um,
them. I have to do this first. I have to. I
yeah.
have to, but I want to finish them.
But like, yeah, no, like definitely. But as I've been giving out to you for like the last year, you need to kind of set that stuff up, you know.
Yeah.
Like you do have an imprint. Imprint does take care of a lot of it, but I don't think you can control the quality of the prints.
No,
So I
not
think that
really.
might be an issue with you.
Yeah.
Um, Well,
I
like, yeah, no,
just.
definitely do it. Like, like I think guys like, yeah, I know Pete Moorbacher. I said
Yep.
you've talked to him a good few times.
Love Pete.
I think with his Angelarium stuff, he fully took that over himself.
Yep.
And so that's definitely something there. Like I don't know how much he makes, but I'm pretty sure he's well
Oh,
off with
Pete's doing. Pete's
Angelarium.
Pete's good. Pete's in good shape.
Yeah,
Yeah, Pete's in good
I
shape.
say so. And
Yeah.
but yeah, no, you could definitely do something like that and go down that route. Instagram, I don't know. I think all social media is just all over the place right now.
Yeah, what is the
You know?
is there like a meta for getting followers on Instagram as an artist right now? Is there like I know for a while it was the hashtags and then after that it was like tags and then after that
I
it was trends and like I don't know what it's prioritizing now.
I really think it's the reels, the
The
stories,
reels, yeah.
reels and stories. I think get a lot of attention.
Okay. Should probably
Like
start
I
recording
had
my sessions.
stuff like that, or even like speed paint. Maybe
What an oxymoron for me. But anyway.
yeah. But stuff like that, or even like artistic tips. People get really into that and they love sharing that around.
Oh, you know what? I could. Oh my god, I could make obnoxious reels out of all of these and be like, when I was a kid, I thought the Armos in Legend of Zelda was a big chubby knight, and like I'd show the
Yeah.
pixel. When I blah blah blah, I could do that for all of these.
Oh yeah, definitely. The more obnoxious you can be, I say the more popular you can be.
Sure.
Of course, like Gross Girls, right? Consistency, like constant updates.
I think
But
I'm
yeah,
good at
like
turning every single one of these into a reel. I think that is actually probably the way to go. That's
yeah, and
actually,
like
yep.
you have like the blown up pixel over it, and then you do the
Mm-hmm.
eraser thing, and then it reveals that, and
Uh huh. That's a very,
yeah,
yeah. We're gonna keep an eye out, chat. That's gonna happen.
yeah,
I can feel it in my bones.
yeah. This is the year of Instadan.
Instadan, yeah. I should change my handle to Instadan.
Yeah,
Then I don't have to fight fucking Daniel Warren Johnson for the Daniel Warren name anymore.
yeah. Um, One of these days, I still think we got to get you two guys talking.
I would
Just one of these days.
I would love that, and I would threaten him. I would say, your name's Daniel Johnston. You're a DJ, okay? I'm a DW. You're a DJ. You just got to deal with it, okay? You just got to deal with it. You just have to embrace the fact that you're a DJ and just give me the DW, okay? He's never going to, but a man can hope. This is feeling better. I didn't like the face that was on this shield. It felt too goofy. I wanted it to look more like the dungeon entrance, and this is achieving that. So I feel better.
Oh no, it's definitely getting there. Yeah.
It's getting there. Okay, and I can keep the horn in the background. That works. Okay. Oh man, I got 13 minutes left, and then I gotta go to the gym, and then maybe
How's that
I'll
been
be able
going
to
for
be
you?
here.
You've been keeping it up
Um,
every day now, so it seems like everything's going pretty good.
First 100-ish pounds came off, over the course of a year. I'm not gonna say
Mm.
quick, but I guess that's relatively quick. Then big plateau, and I just got a whole bunch of blood work and shit done 2 weeks ago, and they're actually gonna put me on some hormone therapy because somewhere either the stress from the weight loss or something about my diet or something has made my hormones go completely out of whack, and
Mm.
they're thinking that's probably why the weight loss is plateaued because I'm eating in a calorie deficit and I'm working out like a stupid amount, and I'm not really getting a ton of traction. So we're gonna start that this week. So if you guys see me freaking out, crying, or screaming or something on stream, it's probably because I'm doing that. But yeah, hopefully there's minimal side effects. But hopefully that makes it resume. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I feel good. I have gains with muscle stuff. I'm just not losing fat anymore for some reason.
Mm.
And yeah, so just focusing on that going forward. But other than that, it's been good. I'm able to do more, feel better about doing it, physically, mentally, feeling good, sleeping better. All that stuff's good. But yeah,
Like, yeah, you've been saying you got into like a good routine that has really pushed your kind of proficiency up, yeah.
yes, it's been a little brutal. I'm trying not to take any shortcuts with it. Like I've noticed that it's way harder. If I take a break, it's way harder for me to get started again on things. So like
Mm.
it's like every day, and I'm not being super smart about my weight stuff because I just don't know enough about it. I'm like, for a while I was like doing the same muscle groups repeatedly, and it was like you're supposed to take breaks in between and shit like that. I'm trying to get smarter about that. I'm trying to optimize my diet too, but I'm kind of learning as I go. But but yeah, it's been good. It's been a lot.
Yeah,
Hmm.
well, the whole part of like getting that consistency, getting all that balance right, these are a lot more, like you've been definitely getting through the work a lot quicker. Um,
Yeah, I'm just
so that's
I'm
always
waiting
good.
for I appreciate the mental clarity the most. I think it just helps a lot.
Mm.
The mental clarity is the biggest gain. I think. I have a funny feeling. Hold on, I'm going to rotate this. I have a funny feeling that this is not actually symmetrical. If it is, I'm fucking something up. But let me take a look. It looks pretty symmetrical. Hold on. This will be the last annoying thing I do, and then I can go to the gym. Then my time on this my 8 hours of my minimum 8 hours of painting will be satisfied.
Hmm.
Got up at 4 today. Been painting since 4, and it's 2, so that's what? That's I don't know.
10 hours.
10 hours? Okay, yeah. So I've done plenty today.
You 10 hours, yeah.
I'm trying to. I don't know. I'm trying to remind myself that just because I can keep going doesn't mean I should keep going. I'm trying to like if I do a minimum 8 hours of painting, a minimum 3 hours in the gym, I should be able to put my signature on that day and be like, this is a day that I didn't waste. Even if I feel like I can do more, I have to try and like get a little bit of everything I need to do done instead of just like, because otherwise, I could sit here and I could work on this till midnight. I know I could. My brain is
Mm.
predisposed to doing that. I'm trying really hard not to do that. But
I get you because I'm usually a later starter for stuff.
yeah.
So like I'll start drawing like now I'll probably start drawing from now, but I'll say like I'll stop at like midnight or 1 a.m. But
Yeah.
I'll blink and next I'll be like, oh hey, I'm really proud of that rendering or what I did here, and I'll look and it's like 4 or 5 a.m. It's like, oh
Yeah.
cool.
I'm trying real
It just
hard not to do that.
Yeah, because like it's that thing as you where you kind of get into a little bit of a zone and you're just kind of like, oh yeah, like, and before you know it, time's just faded away.
Hmm. Yeah, it has a habit of doing that if you're not super super strict and super super regimented. Like
Hmm.
I've never, I mean, Crimson Daggers is an exception. I did this during Crimson Daggers, but I up since then I haven't had a schedule this rigorous that I've maintained for this long in quite a long
Hmm.
time. This is like I'm trying to be pretty fucking strict with it, but let's see. Okay, so we got that. It still feels like it's off center. I don't know why. Maybe it's because this fucking that might be why, because that thing was turned on. Oh, what are you doing with the rest of your day?
I'll probably try to get some like I said, those ideas, kind of put those together into
Hmm.
something. I'll probably be it. Probably just like even though I said I've been like just randomly sketching, I have felt like I have kind of picked up faster things, like all that. So I'm still working on that.
Nice.
Um, so yeah, that'll probably be it. Like I took like nearly a month off drawing, nearly enough, because I was busy playing Final Fantasy Rebirth.
Sorry.
Um, yeah, no, it's just like
Um,
unfortunately, it is the thing with me. When I get into a game, I get really hyper obsessed with it,
Me
and I
too.
usually play it till I complete everything I can in it.
Me too. I can't play games
Um,
casually. It's like an OCD thing. I just have to
yeah,
100% it and then never look at it again.
so I get really careful when it comes to certain games. Um, if it's a narrative game or a big game, I have to be really, really careful
Hmm.
because I will not put it down until I finish it.
Right. Yeah, I get that. I totally get that.
Yeah, so stuff like if I do play some games recently, I'll probably play a bit of like Helldivers just because I can jump on, do 2 or 3 missions, then jump off.
Hmm.
Um,
I gotta play
like I
that.
like it's fun. It is just kind of like a giant Starship Troopers game, which I always think is hilarious. That when Helldivers 2 came out, 2 Starship Troopers games came out that no one cared about, and they just called Helldivers the Starship Troopers game.
It's great.
But it's fun. It's crazy. It does take a lot though. But it's one of those things: jump in, shoot a few bugs, shoot a few robots, then go on your day.
Did you try any Monster Hunter?
No, because I know for a fact
Mm.
I will lose everything.
Yeah.
I played Monster Hunter Worlds for a while. I got that, and a few friends were like, "Hey, let's do Monster Hunter Worlds."
Hmm.
I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And the one thing I've always adored is, well, it's a Capcom game, so that's easy enough.
Yeah.
Is the aesthetic and design, everything about that world is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. Fantastic.
I've been seeing screenshots and friends showing off the characters they made in the new one. I'm like yeah, like that RE engine does do wonders,
Hmm.
and just some of the designs, they're all over the place. Like they haven't gone for just like knights like armor or barbarian kind of looks. It's like no, there's like fine like Rococo kind of designed outfits.
That's
Like
so
you can go in
sick.
looking like a musketeer or vampire hunter D, and it's all gorgeous. But I know for a fact that I'll just lose myself to it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I gotta stay away from that game until it's
Mm,
like, I don't know. I have to treat it like a reward for getting something difficult done. Because,
yeah.
like, holy shit, I will absolutely lose my entire existence to that game.
Yeah, and I just know like I'd just be chasing like getting more because there's a little bit of narrative, but for that it's kind of like no, you just want to get more armor, more cool looking stuff,
Hmm.
and it just becomes a nightmare.
Dave actually asked me last night, which never happens. Very rarely is there a game so good that Dave is like, we have to play this after he's already played it. And
Mm,
apparently, Split Fiction is super fucking good because it was good enough that Dave called me and he was like, I just beat Split Fiction with Kim. You have to play Split Fiction. If you need someone to play it with, I'll play it again. I was like, oh, this must be really good done. This must be like
yeah.
incredible.
Well, the guys who make Split Fiction, US Affairs, he's the guy who said "fuck the Oscars" at the Game
Yeah,
Awards one
yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, he's fun.
Um, yeah, I love the guy. He's so open, but like he really specializes in like two player kind of games. Like he did a Way Out, which is two guys breaking out of prison.
Yep,
It Takes Two, which is about the couple, I think, like the married couple trying to get together.
yep.
So I think with this one, he's kind of like, we've really nailed what has gone to it. But like, yeah, definitely give that a shot. I mean, like, friends who play together stay together. But then
Apparently,
again, I
it's
don't think,
great. Apparently, I played Monster Hunter World, the first one that came out a while ago.
yeah,
Me and Dave played that way too much when that came out. That was like, I don't know. That was a problem. I played that game so much. That was like the
because
one game.
it's that case of just one more dungeon.
Yeah, it's like we'll hunt Rathalos one more time. We'll hunt Diablos
Yeah,
one more time. One more time. One more time. One more time.
yeah, because like
Yeah.
Twilight Princess, that was out when I was in college.
Hmm.
And yeah, a friend of mine gave me a line of his GameCube and that, and I was like, "Oh, cool, let's play this." And it literally was a case of one more dungeon, one more dungeon, and then I look to the side. It's like, oh, it's light outside. Oh, I have to be in college in the next like 20 minutes.
Yeah. That was me last winter. I don't know if you guys remembered. Maybe this was before I started streaming. I can't remember. I got like the mega flu, and I beat I like beat Baldur's Gate 3 in like 2 weeks.
Hmm.
I lived in that game. That was like the unhealthiest way I've played a game in a very long time. That was like 2 straight weeks of like 9 hour, 10 hour, 12 hour sessions. Like that was absurd how much I played that game. Those games are a problem. Baldur's Gate 3 is like that's like unhealthy for me, a game like that where I can just do anything infinitely.
Yeah, and like Baldur's Gate 3, I got obsessed with that as well. It's just one of those games that you fall really deep into, especially if you love
Yeah.
narrative games like that. And
All
I think
my
it
bad
was
habits.
actually just double checking there. We passed your 1 year anniversary of streaming on YouTube 13 days ago.
Oh, hey.
Your first stream on here was the 12th of March, 2024.
That sounds about right.
And the first stream was you painting that right guard.
Well, it's good to know that I finished it a year ago. It's good to know that I'm definitely not still working on that painting.
Oh
Hey,
no,
we put
definitely.
out some things. We did a Genova. We did the third Elden Ring rot painting. We put that one out. We did a Skeleton Man, kind of. I don't know. We did a few things this year.
Oh no, definitely, definitely. You knocked a few things out of the park.
I'm coping.
Well, you always said
Just
like
me
that
coping,
right guard
chat.
was kind of like your kind of like side hustle, your side piece.
Yes, that was the one that didn't fit in with the meat bun triptych they wanted to do, but I just really wanted to do it, so I just chose to do it for myself. I think they're still going to release it, but it wasn't like a. Usually they commission me, and sometimes I do stuff for fun and I commission it to them after, or I license it to them after the fact. Like they didn't commission me to do the Hollow Knight thing. I just did that, and then
Mm.
they licensed it off me after the fact. But yeah, man. Only a year? I thought you were regular. Well, I kind of was, but it used to be on Twitch. I used to stream on Twitch, and
Mm.
then before that, livestream.com. But yeah, for YouTube, it's been about a year. But anyway, I'm gonna go to the gym. But this was a pleasure. It's nice to finally hear your voice. We'll do this again.
Oh yeah, definitely. Sorry for having random rambles and rants. I'm
No,
very incoherent from time to time.
that's what I'm here for. That's honestly my favorite type of conversation is the random rambles and rants. We find gold, you just mine it till it's gone, and then you move on.
Yeah. Then next time I'll make a list of artists who have disappointed me, and I'll just go through all of them one
Oh,
by one.
real quick, that's the whole reason I called you on. We didn't talk about what is the Rostraws drama.
Yeah, yeah. So Russ Draws, I only saw it the other night myself. So you're aware who he is? He's a YouTube streamer, teaches art,
Yeah.
does a lot of popular stuff. Like me as the Powerpuff Girls,
Okay.
um, stuff like that. So what happened was someone who used to work with them and work
Mm-hmm.
very closely with them helped them at conventions. Tabled with them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not tabled with them, worked his table for him. He basically came out there recently and said that Ross Draws is using AI art in his new book. He has a new book coming out. He showed off a few pictures for it, and people went investigating in it. And yeah, you can see like some classic AI art
Mm-hmm.
things where like it was something like the shorts were going into the hoodie in a weird way, or the hoodie was going
Oh,
into it. That kind of weird thing where it overlaps each
yeah.
other. Odd artifacting, and I think it was a case that it was said he was doing AI art, and then he was drawing over it to make it look better,
Oh
or to kind of
no.
make it pristine. I don't know what rock. I used to draw. I used to watch him years ago, but his
Sure.
kind of videos got annoying to me, and I was kind of like, I'm okay, buddy. But yeah, I don't know what his stance on AI art is. I kind of had to flicker through it. I don't think he's mentioned it much.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, people are saying, of course, he's doing AI art now. Um, And then your man came out and said that also that he didn't pay him for tabling with for handling his table, where it would be a case of like, oh, not quite exposure, but something like that. And also, it's like you're out in like Los Angeles, so technically this is a holiday for you. But like for
What?
anyone who's never tabled, doing like 8, 9,
Yeah.
it's not just like from like the con opens at 10, closes at 6. Like you're in there like an hour beforehand. If you're lucky. I've known a lot of people. It's like 5 minutes before the door opens, they get right to their table, but you're stuck behind a table for like 8, 9 hours. You're talking to people constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Like doing artist alley is, of
It's a
course, we're
job.
lucky that we're selling our art.
Yeah.
It's still tough,
It's a job. It's harder than
Uh,
if you were at home, working from home. You got to haul a bunch of shit. You got to deal with people. People
yeah,
inevitably get mad. Everybody gets sick. You're gonna get the flu. Like, yeah, it's fun, but it's work.
yeah. But your man also shared some Discord messages he had with Ross about this,
Okay.
where he was kind of like, "Hey, can you work this convention with me, and then can you work the same convention like 3, 4 weeks later, like LAX, not LAX, Anime Expo in Los Angeles?"
Oh boy.
And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." He goes, "Oh, you cool? You can stay here for the whole month of July." And he's like, dude, that's me away from my work, from my everything for a month, and like I'm helping you out, so you're gonna have to help me. Like, I need at least like $670. I think he said something like that to cover rent and bills while I'm
Yikes.
away from home. And I think your man Ross Turner goes, well, for that price, I might as well just hire someone local then,
Oh boy.
And
So
the whole thing of
he's
like,
having a real good week. He's having a real good
yeah,
week.
and
Okay.
like it was the usual thing of like, your man's like, oh, hey, can you help me out for this convention? He's like, oh, yeah, 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 but like, I need to have my flights checked or something like that, or can you cover the flights and accommodation for me? And it's like, oh, like with that, maybe I'll have a look into it, ha ha ha. And then a month goes by, and he's like, oh, hey, are you still able to do this without bringing up
Mm,
like that kind of stuff? And like I've had one or two friends help me out with doing convention stuff, but I've always made sure it's like, look here, like here's something for you.
yeah, of course.
uh,
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not making like like he goes to a convention, that guy makes like he makes like 10 grand probably easy,
yeah, yeah.
you know um because he's going to huge conventions with like 100,000
Yeah,
people,
he's a known
hundreds of
name. Yeah.
so like I don't really want to say how much, but I'm saying he's definitely making into the thousands.
Yeah.
So like he should definitely have no problem turning around and saying like, look, here you go.
Also, it's a write-off because he's paying help. Like
Yeah.
it's a tax break. Like you're stupid not to pay people that help you.
Yeah, and even if it's a thing where like he doesn't want to get his friend in trouble with like the tax man or anything like that, it's just like, oh, like here's a few slips beneath the table.
Yeah. Jeez. Well, now I
But
know. In my opinion, chat, for those who wanted to know, my opinion on the Ross drama. Not good. Bad. Disapprove.
yeah,
There you go.
you know, pay those who work with you, and yeah, like there's a guy covering and saying like, if you're feeding your own art into an AI machine just to
Yeah.
see what it can come out with, and you can work on that. It's like, yeah, but it's also like everyone would be afraid, because even I was thinking about that at one point. I said no, like
Yeah.
for one, it's just pure anti against it, and two, it's like it's going to make me lazy,
Yeah.
where I'm going to be like, I can just do everything just machine and just fix it up.
Also, you're still feeding the machine that's going to replace you. Even if you
Yeah,
only feed it your own art, you're giving the people that are making it money to then steal your art and have other people use it. So it's like, yeah,
yeah,
it's a cursed tool. It's the sword that must draw blood before you can put it away. It's like, yeah,
yeah. No, there's that Ross drama.
thank
If I
you.
come across any more, I'll fill you in on it.
I appreciate it. That was
Yeah.
today's Shark Attack,
Yes.
our new
Anyways, I'll
segment
leave you
here.
to it. And
Yeah, I'm feeling good about this piece.
mm,
I probably, I don't know. This one's almost done. I think we're pretty close. Once this shield is
yeah,
done, we're gonna be just a hand away. A little bit of rendering in the bottom, and we'll be in a good place. And then once we have one done, the rest are easier because you have a standard to compare them to, and we'll hopefully have that go quick. It was a pleasure talking to you,
pleasure talking to you, buddy.
and I will see you. Thanks as always for all your help with everything.
Yeah, peace out, buddy.
Love you. See ya. All right, chat. Time for me to go to the gym. Oh, everything hurts. I love you. Bye, guys.